LoveLore Library. Chapter 8:16. Young Master. As soon as the buffed man left the airport, he was surrounded by 4 or 5 macho men. The buffed man was already accustomed to it. He didn't even make a sound. He strode to an RV behind them and got in the car. These macho men were the servants of the buffed man. This time, the buffed man went out to travel to Songjiang. He heard that the ice lanterns in the mainland in winter were very beautiful, so he took a few men to walk around. The buffed man's family was also a famous family in Macau. They opened a casino, and the buffed man was the only male in the family. Naturally, he lived very comfortably. It was just that the buffed man was not fond of women. Otherwise, it was impossible not to know Huang Lele. How many young masters did not know the baby daughter of the Huang family? Unfortunately, the buffed man was addicted to alcohol. He had no interest in other things except for drinking. Huang Lele was sullen all the way. Huang Lele's second brother couldn't do anything. He had to wait until he got home and then call Wang Mei to inquire about the news. Finally, when Huang Lele went back to the room to change clothes, second brother Huang dialed Wang Mei's phone. "Hello. Is this Wang Mei? I am Lele's second brother." Second brother Huang lowered his voice, and his eyes swept to Huang Lele's room upstairs from time to time. He was afraid that she would suddenly open the door and come out. "Second brother, hello." Wang Mei and second brother Huang were very familiar with each other, and her boyfriend was also a business friend of the Huang family. They met through second brother Huang's introduction, so she was at ease as a little spy. "Are you asking about Lele?" "Hee, you are still smart." Second brother Huang smiled and said, "Is Lele being bullied today? Why is she always sullen when I see her?" "Hee, second brother, I will tell you, but you must not tell Lele that I said it." Wang Mei hesitated and smiled. "Of course, I can't say it. I'm not stupid. If I say it, won't she guard against you next time? Then what other news can I get?" Second brother Huang said quickly. "Then I will say it. I tell you, Lele is probably in love this time." Although Wang Mei knew that second brother Huang couldn't make a phone call in front of Huang Lele, she couldn't help but lower her voice. "What? Are you in love?" Second brother Huang was stunned after hearing it. He said inexplicably, "What love? Does she have a boyfriend?" "That's not it." Wang Mei said and told second brother Huang what happened on the plane. "Ah. So that's the case." Second brother Huang didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he heard Wang Mei's words. He didn't expect that the little sister in his eyes had grown up and began to be tempted by boys. However, he didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. After all, his little sister was 20 years old this year. It was normal for her to fall in love. "Second brother Huang, why don't you help Lele find that handsome guy?" Wang Mei suggested. Second brother Huang could only smile bitterly. The person that his little sister was attracted to was a bit too coincidental. He was just a passerby on the journey, where could they find him? However, second brother Huang didn't take it too seriously. He thought that his little sister had just reached the age of love and would be moved by outstanding boys, not a specific person. Therefore, this was easy to handle. Didn't he know a lot of young talents? There were some in Macau, and there were some in his hometown in Singapore. When there was someone that he felt was good, wouldn't it be fine to introduce him to his little sister? After figuring this out, second brother Huang was no longer worried. He was going to find opportunities to take his little sister to attend more banquets. Yang Ming could be said to be unfamiliar with Macau. The character who could summon the wind and summon the rain in Songjiang was also clueless here. However, fortunately, Yang Ming's adaptability was extremely strong. He had also learned the official language of Macau, Cantonese, from the CD that Fong Tian gave him. With the increase of mainland tourists in recent years, most of the service industries in Macau began to speak Mandarin. Yang Ming stopped a taxi. After getting in the car, he said to the driver, "Help me choose a hotel. I'm here to travel." "Okay, sir." The driver naturally agreed. It was already an open secret in the industry that he could get a high commission by pulling customers to the hotel. Yang Ming's industry was also involved in the entertainment industry, so he was also clear about these industry rules, but he didn't care about this. If he wanted to get some information from the driver, he had to let him get some benefits. "Right, Shuya is going to hold a concert here." Yang Ming began to try to talk to the taxi driver, but before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by the driver. "Oh. Are you also here to watch Shuya's concert?" The driver said, "In the past 2 days, I have pulled a lot of Shuya's fans. They all came here to watch the concert." "Yeah, I also like Shuya very much." Yang Ming didn't lie. Now, liking Shuya was equivalent to liking Suya. "Hee, that's fine. I will take you to the hotel closest to the hotel where Shuya is staying." The taxi driver said, "However, it's in a different direction from now. The fare, it doesn't matter how much the fare is. I won't give you less." Yang Ming certainly didn't care about this. "No problem." The driver saw that Yang Ming was straightforward, and he was very happy. The car turned around and drove out quickly. Soon, the car passed by a luxurious and spectacular hotel. The driver pointed to the hotel and said, "Shuya is staying here, Janya Imperial City." Yang Ming quickly noted the location of the hotel. The driver said that the hotel was close to here. In fact, it was about 1 kilometer away. The reason was very simple. Other hotels that were closer were full, and there were no vacant rooms. The people who stayed in these hotels were basically Shuya's fans. Yang Ming paid the fare and gave the driver some extra tips. The driver smiled and handed Yang Ming a business card, saying that Yang Ming could contact him at any time if he needed a car. Yang Ming didn't have a private car in Macau, so he naturally accepted the business card and put it in his pocket. After getting a room, Yang Ming took a comfortable hot bath, then he picked up the newspaper provided by the hotel for free and read it. He turned to the entertainment section, which was almost full of large reports about Shuya. From the entertainment report, Shuya would stay in Macau for about a week, but the specific schedule was not disclosed. It was impossible for these news media to have exact information. Looking at the bustling scene of the streets and alleys outside the window, Yang Ming couldn't help but sigh. The nightlife here was much more lively than Songjiang. This was a real city that never slept. All the casinos were almost open 24 hours a day. There was no time to close. Yang Ming had to wait until there were not many people on the streets before he took action. Yang Ming's action tonight was to find out the room where Suya was, and then study the terrain of the hotel where she lived to see if it was possible to sneak in and meet with Suya. In fact, this was not Songjiang. There was almost no possibility of meeting at the concert because no one would let Yang Ming go backstage unless he forced his way in. However, in Macau, a place that was not his territory, Yang Ming didn't dare to be too rash. Until early in the morning, the taxi and tourists on the street did not show any signs of decreasing. It was no wonder. This was a commercial area, not a remote residential area. If he was impatient, Yang Ming couldn't help it. He could only make do and act according to the situation. After stopping a taxi, Yang Ming came to the Janya Imperial City Hotel. He wanted to pretend to be an ordinary tourist to inquire about the hotel. He didn't expect that when he was about to enter the door, he was stopped by a few bodyguard-like people in black. "Sir, please stay. There are no vacant rooms here. Sorry, we can't receive you. I'm here to find a friend." He lives in this hotel. Yang Ming scratched his head and quickly found an excuse. Friend. This place has been booked. I think you must have made a mistake. The bodyguard still blocked Yang Ming and didn't let him enter. Ugh. My friend is Shuya. You can call her to confirm. She will definitely let me go up. Yang Ming had no choice but to say so. I'm sorry, sir. Every day, there are too many people who say that they are friends of Miss Shu. We can't confirm them one by one. If you are really a friend of Miss Shu, you must know Miss Shu's private phone number. You can ask Miss Shu to send someone to pick you up, said the bodyguard. Yang Ming couldn't help but be stunned when he heard the bodyguard's words. It seemed that he was not the only one who came to find Shuya. But thinking about it, those crazy fans could definitely do this kind of thing. Yang Ming didn't have Shuya's phone number in Macau. He wanted to call Su Haikua and ask, but he found that it was already early in the morning. He guessed that Su Haikua should be asleep. Yang Ming hesitated and decided to forget it. Now, even if he saw Shuya, he wasn't mentally prepared for a while. He didn't know how to speak. He couldn't hug Shuya as soon as they met and then push her to the bed, right? Looking at the security work of the hotel, it was not worse than that of Songjiang. It was almost impossible to sneak in secretly. If he climbed up from the outside of the building, he would be seen. Therefore, Yang Ming simply gave up the idea and turned away from the Jianye Huangqing Hotel. For Yang Ming's behavior, these security guards were already used to it. They thought that Yang Ming was also a crazy fan. After Yang Ming returned to the hotel, he found the hotel's service department and asked them to help him get a ticket for Shuya's concert tomorrow. Of course, it was best to get a VIP ticket. The price didn't matter. The hotel and the organizer naturally had a relationship. For Yang Ming's request, they guaranteed to meet it as much as possible. After all, a financier like Yang Ming was not common. He could get a good price of 100,000 yuan at once. Although time was tight, it was not difficult for the people in charge of booking the tickets in the hotel. They not only had connections with the formal companies of the organizers but also with the underground scalpers. Chapter 8:17. This was not Yang Ming's territory, so when he did things, Yang Ming couldn't be as unscrupulous as he was in Songjiang, and he couldn't be as unscrupulous as he was on the Alice. After all, Yang Ming came to Macau through formal channels this time. He was a legitimate tourist with a name. If he forced his way in or sneaked in, it would become a lot of trouble once he was discovered. Therefore, when Yang Ming learned that only Suya's group was staying in the hotel, he gave up the idea of continuing to explore. Because even if he knew which room Suya was staying in, it was useless. However, what Yang Ming couldn't figure out was why Suya didn't bring her domestic mobile phone here. Suddenly, he remembered the gift that Suya gave him when she left, and he suddenly felt helpless. Originally, he wanted to go back to earthly paradise today to get the gift, but he met Su Haikua at the entrance of the hotel. He was so distracted by Su Haikua that he actually forgot such a thing, which made Yang Ming regret it. However, compared to the gift, the information that Su Haikua provided him was more important. Back in the hotel room, Yang Ming called Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiyun to report that he was safe. After hanging up the phone, he found that the mobile phone could actually search for the mainland's mobile signal. It must be from Zhuhai. He also tried the private number that Suya gave him, but it was still turned off. He called the front desk and asked if there was a computer with internet access. He got a positive answer. The hotel provided laptops for rent, but he had to pay a deposit. However, these didn't matter. Yang Ming asked the waiter to send a laptop of the latest model. The keyboard of the laptop was covered with a brand new layer of disposable silicone mold, and the mouse was also brand new. It seemed that the hotel had fully considered the issue of hygiene. Yang Ming logged into QQ. The network speed here was much faster than at home in Songjiang. Yang Ming used the music box to download a few of Suya's albums. When he learned that Suya was Suya, Yang Ming began to be anxious to know everything about Suya. After the QQ login was successful, Yang Ming was eager to see if "I Am a Superstar" was online, but unfortunately, the avatar was gray. Yang Ming tried to send a "Are you there?" message, but there was no reply for a long time. In disappointment, Yang Ming wanted to turn off QQ, but there was a beep 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 sound from the laptop speaker. Yang Ming quickly stopped and opened the message window. "Bro, is that you?" This message was sent by Zhang Bin. "Zhang Bin, it's me." Yang Ming touched his hair and suddenly found that he hadn't contacted Zhang Bin for more than a month. He didn't know how he was doing recently. This was one of his few good buddies. Thinking of this, Yang Ming couldn't help but feel a little guilty. "How is your injury?" "Hee, you see that I can type in chat. Do you think I'm good?" Zhang Bin didn't take his injury seriously. "I was bored to death in the hospital for a while. It was too boring." Voice. Yang Ming felt that typing couldn't express his feelings, so he sent a voice invitation. Zhang Bin directly refused. Yang Ming was surprised, but Zhang Bin sent another video chat invitation. Yang Ming was stunned, then he smiled and clicked the accept button. Yang Ming's laptop also had a camera. Zhang Bin saw the scene here and blurted out, "Bro, where are you? Why do I think it looks like a hotel?" "I'm in Macau." Yang Ming said with a smile, "What about you? Have you been discharged?" "Damn, how did you go to Macau?" Zhang Bin said with surprise, "When did you go?" "I just arrived today. I did stay in the hotel." Yang Ming explained. "I'm at home. I have nothing to do." "Why did you go to Macau?" "You should have said so earlier. I would have gone with you." Zhang Bin said with disappointment. "What about Zhao Cece? Didn't she accompany you?" asked Yang Ming. "These days, the jewelry company is so busy. How can she have time to accompany me?" Zhang Bin shrugged and said with a bitter face. "I came here to watch Shuya's concert. Are you coming too?" Yang Ming didn't talk nonsense. He did come here for this purpose. "Aw. No way, right? Bro, when did you become a fan of Shuya?" Obviously, Zhang Bin was a little surprised by Yang Ming's approach. In his opinion, Yang Ming couldn't become a crazy fan. Hee, probably this morning. Yang Ming smiled mysteriously. "What? This morning? This is too fast. You became a fan in the morning, and you went to Macau at night?" Zhang Bin opened his mouth wide. "I'm convinced. How is it? Are you coming?" Yang Ming asked casually. "Come. Why don't I come? I am a fan of Shuya." "Bro, you are going. How can I not go? What's more, I really don't mean anything. You wait for me. I will book the ticket now. I will probably be there in the middle of the night." As Zhang Bin said this, he picked up the mobile phone in a hurry and looked for the airline's ticket booking number. Yang Ming didn't expect Zhang Bin to be so fast. It seemed that he really stayed in the hospital for too long, and he was bored. After a while, Zhang Bin returned to the front of the screen and said, "Okay, it's done. I am going to the airport now. Wait for me." "Okay." Yang Ming turned off the video and thought about it. He called the service desk again and told them to book one more ticket for Shuya's concert. Of course, the price was still indifferent. He slept until about 5:00 in the morning. He received a call from Zhang Bin and learned that he had arrived in Macau. Yang Ming told him the name of the hotel and asked him to come directly by taxi. Yang Ming booked a double standard room. It didn't matter if Zhang Bin stayed in it. Half an hour later, there was a knock on the door. Yang Ming glanced at it. It was really Zhang Bin. Suddenly, when he saw Zhang Bin appear in front of him again, Yang Ming felt emotional. There was an indescribable emotion in his heart. He hugged Zhang Bin and patted his back. Zhang Bin was shocked by Yang Ming's sudden action. He stuttered, "Bro, you don't like broken back, right? Get lost." Yang Ming laughed and said, "I just haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you a little bit. It's my fault that you are hospitalized, but you can rest assured that I will avenge you sooner or later." Hee hee. Zhang Bin said indifferently, "It's okay. I just treated it as recuperation. It's just that I am a little tired of it after a long time. So, I ran out just as I was getting better." "Uncle Zhang knows that you came to find me?" Yang Ming asked with some worry. "Of course, my dad heard that I was coming to find you. He personally helped me find someone to book a ticket. Otherwise, how could I come here so quickly in the middle of the night?" Zhang Bin nodded and said, "You shouldn't have slept, right? Rest for a while. The concert is tomorrow night. I asked the hotel to help me book the tickets. I don't know if I can buy it." Yang Ming said. Zhang Bin didn't hold back. He nodded and said, "Then I'll sleep. I'm so sleepy. Just now on the plane, the chick next to me kept talking to me. I couldn't sleep well even if I wanted to." "No way. You just got out of the hospital and you want to have a one-night stand again." Yang Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Hey, it's not that I want to. I can meet her when I go out. Can you blame me?" Zhang Bin said innocently, "Bro, why don't you play too? Your conditions are better than mine. There must be a lot of sluts who are willing." Yang Ming shook his head and didn't respond. "If I find another one back, wouldn't Chen Mengyan blow up the temple?" Yang Ming didn't want to get into trouble again. Although Yang Ming was a bit of a playboy and had more than one girlfriend, Yang Ming thought that he was a more conservative person in the end. He was passionate but not promiscuous. Yang Ming couldn't tolerate the woman who was related to him to have sex with others. The night was silent. Yang Ming woke up early in the morning, but when he saw Zhang Bin sleeping soundly, he closed his eyes and fell asleep again. When he woke up again, it was already noon. The two were woken up by the phone in the room. It turned out that the hotel called to tell Yang Ming that the VIP tickets had been obtained. 2 tickets cost 200,000 yuan. Yang Ming didn't care about whether there was any underpricing in it, but he was very moved that Shuya's concert ticket price was actually so high. After thanking, they agreed to pick up the tickets in a while. After eating casually in the restaurant, Yang Ming and Zhang Bin took the tickets and left the hotel. They came to the streets of Macau. There were still a few hours before the concert began. If Zhang Bin didn't come, Yang Ming could go online at will in the hotel to pass the time. But now that Zhang Bin came, the two went out together. Macau wasn't big, but it was world famous. The reason was naturally that its gambling industry was quite developed. Its ranking in the world could be said to be second only to Las Vegas. Most of the tourists who came here wanted to see the casinos in Macau. Here, gambling was legal, and so was gambling. Therefore, people who were rich one day and penniless the next could be found everywhere. Of course, there were also people who became rich overnight, but the probability of this was very small. 9 out of 10 gamblers lost. This was the unchanging law. Otherwise, all the casinos would have closed down long ago. Yang Ming didn't know if the King of Gamblers tournament on TV existed, but he knew that gambling masters did exist. Almost every big casino had 1 or 2 masters. In the CD that Fong Tian gave him, there was also an introduction in this regard, and even a detailed tutorial of gambling. However, Yang Ming basically didn't need it, so he ignored it. What was certain was that Yang Ming's skills were only better than those people, and he wouldn't be worse than those people because Yang Ming had an innate advantage that no one could surpass. Chapter 8:18. Let's go to the casino. Zhang Bin was the kind of person who was restless. When he came to Macau, his hands naturally began to itch. After all, the gambling industry here was legal. Zhang Bin had no sense of guilt. Go now. Yang Ming had no interest in gambling. Yang Ming was not a gambler. He was not interested in these. However, rather than saying that Yang Ming was not a gambler, it was better to say that Yang Ming basically had no fun in gambling. In the case of winning every time, gambling was no longer gambling. It had become a one-sided mechanical sport of plundering. Yang Ming was not short of money, and he did not need to rely on gambling to make money, so in his opinion, if it was not necessary, he would not touch these things. Zhang Bin looked at Yang Ming's lack of interest and couldn't help but say, "Bro, what's wrong with you? I think you should like these things very much, right? At that time in Yunnan, didn't you like to gamble on stones? How can that be the same as this?" Yang Ming couldn't help but smile bitterly after listening. This is pure gambling. That can only be regarded as a kind of bulk purchase. As he was talking, Zhang Bin's cell phone suddenly rang. Zhang Bin picked up the phone and glanced at it. His face immediately showed a very lascivious expression. "The little girl I hooked up with on the plane." Yang Ming shook his head and watched Zhang Bin pick up the phone. The two people seemed to be making an appointment, but Yang Ming did not care about this. Hanging up the phone, Zhang Bin scratched his head embarrassedly. "Bro, she asked me to go out, then go." Yang Ming was unwilling to accompany Zhang Bin to gamble. Now that he could be free, how could he not agree? But he said, "Don't miss the concert tonight. I will call you." "No problem. I will try to make it quick and take her directly to the hotel." Zhang Bin smiled after listening. Then he stopped a taxi and left. Yang Ming, on the other hand, was strolling alone on the streets, enjoying the peculiar atmosphere of a foreign land. Although this place had been returned to China for many years, many of the buildings on the street were very westernized, which was different from the mainland. "Sir, do you want to play?" A small man suddenly appeared in front of Yang Ming and made a dice-throwing gesture with his hand. Yang Ming was stunned. He was a little puzzled. Why is there someone pulling guests for the casino? But Yang Ming understood all the words of the small man next. "No matter how much it costs. I don't have any requirements. Even a few dollars is fine," the short man said in a low voice. "Go and play a few rounds. It's okay." The small man was a little reluctant. "Try your luck. Maybe you can make a fortune. There is really no need." Yang Ming waved his hand and turned to leave. The small man probably didn't want to let the business run away. When he saw Yang Ming turn around, he grabbed Yang Ming's coat and didn't want to let Yang Ming leave. "You wait." Yang Ming suddenly became a little impatient. He just felt that this small man was not easy to make a living, so he didn't bother with him. But at this moment, he was clinging to him. Yang Ming frowned and wanted to force him away. "Hey, don't go with him. They are liars." Before Yang Ming could do it, a delicate and sweet voice came over. The voice was very familiar. It made Yang Ming slightly stunned. He looked up and really knew it. It was the flight attendant, Huang Lele, whom he met on the plane. Huang Lele was now with another stewardess named Wang Mei on the plane. The two of them were holding hands and were looking at this side. Huang Lele also came closer and saw that the person on this side was Yang Ming. She was also stunned, but Wang Mei's eyes were very good. She had already seen that the person on this side was Yang Ming. Otherwise, she would not deliberately lead the topic to someone who was a liar. The local people almost knew that these people of the small man's group were liars. They opened an illegal gambling den and sent some henchmen to attract foreign tourists. After they came to the gambling den, they cheated the tourists and won all the money. Most tourists did not understand the local laws. They thought that it was normal to lose gambling. Even if they called the police, it would not help. In fact, these illegal gambling dens did not have operating licenses at all. They were the targets of a severe crackdown. Huang Lele belonged to the kind of girl with a strong sense of justice. Otherwise, Wang Mei would not take the initiative to tell her this. It was because she knew that Huang Lele would speak up to stop it. Wang Mei did not tell Huang Lele when she saw that the person on the other side was Yang Ming. Instead, she let Huang Lele find out for herself. In fact, these henchmen were still very afraid of causing trouble. At this time, when they saw that a local person exposed their identity, they quickly left after muttering a few words. They were also afraid that it would cause unnecessary trouble. Huang Lele did not expect to meet Yang Ming here. She was shocked and immediately remembered that she was stood up by Yang Ming yesterday. She was angry and stared at Yang Ming with her eyes wide open. However, Huang Lele's appearance belonged to the sweet and lovely type. Even if she was angry now, there was no clue on the surface. Instead, her eyes were wide open, which made her look more beautiful and moving. Yang Ming had already put the matter of treating Huang Lele to a meal at the back of his mind. When he saw Huang Lele's appearance, he thought that she was really interested in him. Yang Ming was not such an arrogant person, but since he had special abilities, the beautiful women around him really made him feel complacent. What's more, Yang Ming really did not want to provoke any love debt. For all the facts that could happen, Yang Ming had to be careful. Actually, I have a girlfriend. Yang Ming looked at Huang Lele's blinking beautiful eyes. His breath was short for a while. She was so beautiful that it could kill. After Huang Lele listened to Yang Ming's words without rhyme or reason, she was inexplicable. However, after thinking about it carefully, she immediately understood what Yang Ming wanted to express. Huang Lele was going to explode. What does this guy mean? Does he really think that I want to pester him? Huang Lele clenched her teeth, and her body trembled a little. Since childhood, I have always rejected others. This is great. It's my turn to be rejected by others. But I don't mean that at all. Although Huang Lele's initial impression of Yang Ming was good, it did not mean that Huang Lele really liked Yang Ming, and she was anxious to have some follow-up with Yang Ming. Yang Ming saw Huang Lele's appearance and thought that he rejected her and hurt her heart. He couldn't help but feel helpless. Actually, I'm not a good person. In fact, Yang Ming was not such a dull person. But today, Huang Lele was really charming, which made Yang Ming somewhat unable to control himself. Secondly, Yang Ming was really afraid that he couldn't control himself and bring another girl back. Therefore, Yang Ming's thinking was a little confused, so he made such a mistake. Even heroes have a weakness for the charms of beautiful women. This saying was not false at all. Huang Lele really didn't know whether she should cry or laugh. Looking at Yang Ming, she really wanted to trample him to death. After a heavy humph, she turned and left. Wang Mei was also shocked by Yang Ming's words. She wanted to create an opportunity for Yang Ming and Huang Lele, but she did not expect that it would be the current result. You already have a girlfriend. Why do you still want to provoke our Lele? Wang Mei rolled her eyes at Yang Ming and threw out a sentence. Then she went to chase Huang Lele. These brainless words made Yang Ming very depressed. Did I provoke them? Who did I provoke? Is it wrong for me to take a plane? Huang Lele walked forward angrily, but Wang Mei followed her closely and persuaded, Lele, don't be angry. Aren't there plenty of men? When did Huang Lele suffer such grievances? The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. Although she didn't really pursue Yang Ming and was rejected, it also made Huang Lele feel disgraced. She was rejected by a man in front of her good friend. This was such a shameful thing. Huang Lele had cursed Yang Ming 1,000 times in her heart. What kind of person is this? I'm not thinking about men. Huang Lele was afraid that Wang Mei would misunderstand, so she explained, he is really narcissistic. He actually thinks that I like him. Yeah, Lele, wait for a few days. I will find you a handsome man, one who is more handsome than him. Wang Mei nodded. I don't want to. How could Huang Lele still have the mood to think about a handsome man? She was so angry that she was going to die. It was a rare holiday, but her mood was ruined on the first day. She wanted to go shopping with Wang Mei, but she was not in the mood. Huang Lele apologized and said goodbye to Wang Mei. Wang Mei knew that Huang Lele's mood wasn't good, so she didn't say anything. Instead, she sent her to the taxi and watched her leave. Wang Mei sighed. This Yang Ming really doesn't know how to do things. Other men try to pretend to be single in front of Huang Lele, but he is good. He directly said that he has a girlfriend. I have to say that this person is really unique. However, how could Yang Ming think so much? This time, he came to Macau mainly because of Shuya, so he had almost no thoughts about other women. Looking at the time, there was still a long time before the concert. Yang Ming simply found a coffee shop and went in to ask for a cup of coffee. Then, he read the restaurant DM magazine that was provided for free here. Originally, he was reading this magazine full of advertisements to pass the time. However, when Yang Ming turned to one of the pages, his eyes suddenly widened. He stared at a message in the corner of the page and slowly frowned. This was a code word. Yang Ming had systematically learned code words in Fong Tian CD and in Europe. Although Yang Ming didn't understand the meaning of this code word, his keen intuition told him that this was definitely a code word deliberately left by someone. Chapter 8:19. Yang Ming held the magazine in his hands and looked at the code words on it, but he couldn't understand it. At this time, the waiter came over with the coffee. When he saw that Yang Ming was looking at the advertisement in the DM magazine, he smiled and said, "Sir, what you are looking at is meaningless, meaningless." Yang Ming was stunned. Yeah, there are them in every issue. They are all published by people who have too much money and don't know where to spend it. The purpose is to tease others. The waiter gently put the coffee in front of Yang Ming and said, "Oh." Yang Ming raised his head suspiciously. There is one in every issue. Are they all published by the same person? That I don't know, but the locals think that this is a prank made by a bored guy. Sir, you are a tourist here. It is normal that you don't know this. The waiter continued to explain. Do you still have the previous issues of the magazine? Yang Ming took out a tip of 100 yuan and gave it to the waiter. Yes, sir. Please wait a moment. I will show it to you. The waiter received the tip and immediately smiled. He quickly went to help Yang Ming get the magazine. As he walked, he thought, the hobbies of rich people are really different. Over there, they use advertising money to publish some useless garbage. Here, someone is also using tips to look for the previous magazines. However, this had nothing to do with him. He would do what the customer was happy with. When he came to the utility room of the coffee shop, the waiter turned over the previous issues of the DM magazine. He took one for each issue and brought it to Yang Ming's coffee table. "Sir, it is all here. It was published from the 3rd issue of this year." Yang Ming looked at the magazines handed over by the waiter. There were about 6 or 7 of them. He nodded with satisfaction and said, "Thank you. It doesn't matter. If you need anything else, just call me at any time." The waiter said respectfully and left. DM magazines were different from ordinary periodicals. The release time was not fixed. It was an industry magazine published by some media and advertising companies. It was not sold publicly. It was only distributed for free in public places such as bars, coffee shops, barbershops, and so on for customers to read. Yang Ming didn't have a deciphering dictionary at hand, so he couldn't see anything from these messy words. They were all nonsense. Yang Ming didn't believe that someone would be so bored as to spend money to publish some inexplicable things. It just so happened that he happened to run into it, so he naturally had to investigate thoroughly. Yang Ming took out his mobile phone and took photos of the words in each issue of the magazine. He planned to study them carefully when he returned to the hotel. When the waiter saw Yang Ming picking up his phone to take a picture, he couldn't help but find it funny. There were really all kinds of people. However, he didn't interfere. Who cares? What did this have to do with him? After taking the photos, Yang Ming neatly stacked the magazines aside and put the coffee money on the table. He then got up and was about to leave, but he bumped into an acquaintance. "Brother Yang Ming." A young man was pushing open the door of the coffee shop and walking in. When he saw Yang Ming, he was surprised and happy to greet him. Yang Ming didn't expect to meet an acquaintance in Macau. When he looked up, he saw that the person was actually Huang Rongjin, whom he met in Songjiang. "Brother Huang. Why are you in Macau?" Huang Rongjin was a little puzzled as to why Yang Ming would appear here. Yang Ming seemed to still be in Songjiang the day before yesterday, right? I came to Macau to attend Shuya's concert." Yang Ming didn't lie to him. This was also one of the purposes of Yang Ming's trip. "Oh. I didn't expect you to be a fan of Shuya." Huang Rongjin was surprised. "Just like my friend Ji Xiaohe, the concert in Songjiang just ended, and you flew to Macau with me. It turns out that you are also here to watch the concert." Yang Ming suddenly nodded. "Not all of it. There are many of my family's businesses in Macau. I have troubled you in Songjiang, but it's good to be here. It is also my territory. If you need anything, just tell me." Huang Rongjin patted his chest and promised. "Not yet, but if I really encounter trouble, I won't be polite with you." Yang Ming smiled. "That's natural. If you are polite, you are looking down on me." Huang Rongjin also smiled. "I have an appointment with a guest today, so I won't talk to you more. How long will you stay here?" "It's hard to say, but I should stay for a few days." Yang Ming wasn't sure. "I will hold a small banquet at my house next Saturday. If you are free, do me the honor and come over. Let's have a good chat then." As Huang Rongjin said this, he took out an invitation from his small handbag and gave it to Yang Ming. "Okay, if I don't leave, I will definitely go." Yang Ming took the invitation. His impression of Huang Rongjin was not bad, so it was good to make such a friend. Huang Rongjin had an appointment with several important customers of the Huang family today to discuss business, so he couldn't accompany Yang Ming. Originally, Huang Rongjin was not responsible for business matters, but his elder brother was so busy in Singapore that he couldn't get away. He happened to come to Macau, so this responsibility fell on him. What's more, he still had some shares in the company, so he couldn't ignore it. Huang Rongjin's character naturally didn't like to be in power. This was also an important reason why the two brothers could be harmonious. Huang Rongjin's elder brother, Huang Rongtian, was the kind of person who was more fanatical about controlling the overall situation in business, and he was happy to see his younger brother like this. Otherwise, when the two brothers were in charge of the company, it would be difficult for the people below to decide who to listen to when there were differences of opinion. In this way, the company would collapse sooner or later. Now, Huang Rongjin only held shares and dividends, and the operation of the company was controlled by his brother, Huang Rongtian. The Huang family's business was getting bigger and bigger. Of course, Huang Rongjin couldn't ignore it at all. After bidding farewell to Huang Rongjin, Yang Ming immediately returned to the hotel and entered a group of photos taken today into the computer. Then he opened his own network hard drive, which stored many useful electronic tools that Fang Tian gave him. Some dictionary of code words were also stored on it. Yang Ming downloaded the dictionary and then translated it one by one according to the text on the photo. As a result, the translated content shocked Yang Ming. This was actually a message for a bounty to hire someone to kill. The message in the first 3 issues of the magazine was the same message, offering a bounty of 10 million patakas to kill a person. In the 4th issue of the magazine, there was another message after this message. The content of the message was also very simple. The translation was only 4 words, accept the mission. It seemed that no one responded to the message in the first 3 issues. When it was published in the 4th issue, someone posted the same password in the same position and accepted this killing mission. Of course, if it weren't for a professional like Yang Ming, no one would understand this messy text. Even if the 4th issue had a few more words than the 3rd issue, no one would association anything. Sure enough, starting from the 5th issue, the text in each issue of the magazine was different. It seemed that these two people began to use this text to communicate. In the 5th issue, it should be the message published by the hirer. He left the information of the person to be killed. The name of the person to be killed was Xing Xiaoping, the chief dealer and senior consultant of Macau's Huawei Casino. He was also a celebrity in Macau's gambling industry. As for the reason for killing him, it was not mentioned in the message, but these were not important. Yang Ming was not the kind of person with a sense of justice. As an assassin himself, Yang Ming couldn't destroy the business of his peers. And this Xing Xiaoping was definitely not a good person. Generally speaking, people in his position had harmed countless people. Therefore, Xing Xiaoping's life and death had nothing to do with Yang Ming. What made Yang Ming curious was that this hirer actually used the exclusive password dictionary of the assassin industry. This made Yang Ming very surprised. Generally, ordinary people would never use these passwords, but this person did. It could be seen that this person was a person who understood the assassin industry very well. At the very least, he had a friend who was an assassin. However, if this was the case, then why did he need to publish an advertisement to hire an assassin? This was what aroused Yang Ming's suspicion. Since there were doubts, Yang Ming naturally did not dare to delay. He told Fang Tian what he had seen and heard, and all the analysis. After all, the older the wiser. Yang Ming's experience as an assassin was still very insufficient. It couldn't be compared with Fang Tian. Fang Tian listened to Yang Ming's narration, but he didn't say much. He just asked, what password did he use? The 99th password in the dictionary, said Yang Ming. 99th? Are you sure? Fang Tian originally had an indifferent attitude. At this moment, when he heard Yang Ming say that it was the 99th password, he immediately put his heart into it. Yes, it's the 99th password. What's wrong with it? Asked Yang Ming, puzzled. The 99th password is not the universal password of the assassin world. Fang Tian suddenly said anxiously, that is the password created by the butterfly family. Butterfly family? Yang Ming was naturally not unfamiliar with this. His training in Europe was carried out in the butterfly family. Now you try to find out who published this message and how the matter has progressed. I am going to contact my old friend. Things may not be so simple. Fong Tian hesitated and said. Although Yang Ming didn't know what was going on here, when he heard that this password was not a circulating password, he felt that things were definitely not so simple. Not far from the coffee shop where Yang Ming was, the window of a limited edition Ferrari slowly opened. A thin man threw out the cigarette butt in his hand and sneered, "Maybe we can kill two birds with one stone this time." Chapter 820. The last message was published by the hirer. It was agreed with the hirer that the next issue of the magazine would publish the place where Jing Xiaoping would go that night. The hirer would wait for the opportunity to make a move at this time. Although the magazine was printed a few days in advance, the release time had been set. For a person like Jing Xiaoping, his daily schedule should be fixed, and it was very likely that it would be arranged until a few days later. Therefore, it was not strange that the hirer could know his whereabouts in advance. Originally, it was a matter that had nothing to do with him, but after Fong Tian's explanation, it became a matter that was related to him. Although Yang Ming did not admit that he was the son-in-law of the butterfly family, it was undeniable that his and Fong Tian's survival status in the assassin world was closely related to the butterfly family. Since this matter had become strange and involved the butterfly family, Yang Ming naturally had to figure it out. The most critical question now was the publishing time of the next issue of the magazine and the identity of the owner of these two messages. As for the identity of the owner of the information, Yang Ming actually didn't have much hope for it. Since he chose this way to hire someone to kill, he wanted to hide his identity. How could such a person expose his identity? Yang Ming checked the address of the organizer of this DM magazine on the internet. This magazine was hosted by a website called Australian Street Shopping. The office address was in a building not far from here. Yang Ming wrote down the address, then turned off the computer and left the hotel. Downstairs of the hotel, there were already many waiting taxis. Yang Ming got in a taxi and went to the building where the website was located. According to the recorded address, Yang Ming easily found the office of the website. This website seemed to be quite large. It occupied a whole floor of the office building. It was divided into several departments. Yang Ming asked at the front desk and came to the editorial department of the DM magazine. Yang Ming contacted the editorial department as a reader. The editorial department also set up a separate reader's opinion exchange area with a special editor in charge. This kind of DM magazine, which focused on advertising, attached great importance to the opinions of the readers, because every reader could become a customer of the website and the website sponsor. Therefore, Yang Ming did not have to go through much trouble to receive a good reception. "Hello, Mr. Wang. Welcome to the editorial department. Do you have any comments or suggestions for our magazine?" A gentle editor received Yang Ming. Of course, Yang Ming did not use his real name when he came here. He just casually wrote, "Mr. Wang. It's like this. I read several issues of your magazine in a row, but I found that there was a strange message in each issue." Yang Ming picked up a magazine on the coffee table, turned to the page with the code, and pointed to it and said to the editor, "Oh. So it's this." The editor helplessly revealed an apologetic smile. "Regarding this, many readers have already called to ask about it, but you're the first one to come here. I'm really sorry for causing trouble for your reading." Yang Ming waved his hand and said, "There is no trouble. I'm just curious. I want to know what the published thing is. Actually, I'm not sure about this either." The editor said with some embarrassment, "Some of the advertisement columns in our magazine are mobile. They are provided to some people who need to advertise for a short period of time. This advertisement was requested by someone else. Although we don't know the specific meaning, the other party has already sent the advertisement fee over. We can't refuse because this is not against the law after all. Then who published these things? I am a curious person. I want to find the owner of the publication to ask. Yang Ming tried to make himself look more harmless. The other party did not leave any contact information, and I don't know his specific identity. The advertising fee and advertising content for each issue were sent through letters. The editor smiled apologetically. You are not the first reader to ask this. There are also many curious readers who want to get to the bottom of it. However, it may be that some people deliberately want to fool the public. It turns out to be like this. Yang Ming nodded. Sure enough, as I expected before, these people will not show up. Right, I want to ask. Is this information published by the same person in every issue? I don't know about this. The editor shook his head. We can't understand the meaning of these messages. How do we know if it is published by the same person? However, there is an issue that is very strange. We received 2 such publishing requests at one time. I think a reader also wants to play a prank. It is possible. Yang Ming pretended to be very disappointed. He sighed and stood up. Forget it. Since there is nothing, then I will leave. Mr. Wang, take care. You are welcome to come here again to give us opinions. The editor also got up to send him off. Right, when is the next issue of the magazine released? Yang Ming pretended to be very casual and suddenly asked. The day after tomorrow, Mr. Wang, you can leave the address. I will send someone to send it to you. The editor didn't need to hide these things, but if Yang Ming asked this when he came up, it would be too abrupt. No need. I have it in the coffee shop downstairs. Yang Ming waved his hand and left the editorial department. The most important information he got this time was that the new issue of the magazine would be released the day after tomorrow. In other words, the day after tomorrow was the day of the assassination of Jing Xiaoping. At that time, according to the information published in the magazine, Yang Ming could come to the place where Jing Xiaoping went to in advance to wait. Perhaps he could find some clues. At least he could intercept the assassin who came to assassinate Jing Xiaoping and see who he was. Out of the door of the building, Yang Ming called Fang Tian and reported the information he got to Fang Tian. I have also contacted the butterfly family. This mission doesn't seem to be taken by the people of the butterfly family, but you still have to follow up. Fang Tian said, this is also an opportunity for you to gain experience. Contact me at any time if there is any situation. Okay. Yang Ming nodded. I will go to the place where Jing Xiaoping appeared the day after tomorrow and find a way to figure out the situation. Since it had nothing to do with the butterfly family, Yang Ming was relieved. He just had to wait and see. At this time, Zhang Bin also called. Bro, I am done here. Where are you? I am going back to the hotel. You should come back too. Pack up. It is almost time for the concert to start. Yang Ming looked at the time on his phone and said. Okay, see you later. Zhang Bin hung up the phone. At 7:00 in the evening, at the Macau Variety Hall, the first concert of the second leg of Shuya's national tour began. The scene here was obviously much grander than the concert held in the Songjiang Stadium. After all, Songjiang was only a second-tier city. Naturally, it was not as well-equipped and spacious as Macau, an international city. The hotel's VIP tickets were obtained from the scalpers. Although the price was high, it was indeed a good position. Although it was not the first row, it was quite close to the front. It was in the middle aisle of the second row. It was also worth the money. Zhang Bin's position was next to Yang Ming. Zhang Bin was not the kind of fanatical fan. Although he also liked Shuya, it was impossible for him to fly to Macau to watch the concert. For Yang Ming's behavior, Zhang Bin did not understand. Bro, I don't think you are the kind of fanatical groupie. Hee, is it strange? Yang Ming shrugged. In fact, if he didn't know that Shuya was Suya, Yang Ming would not do such a crazy thing. It's a bit strange. Zhang Bin shook his head. Bro, don't you know? It's okay to like celebrities, but it's not good if you are too obsessed with them. After all, they can't have any intersection with us. You are right. I came here this time, to pursue Shuya. Yang Ming suddenly whispered in Zhang Bin's ear. Pursue, what? Zhang Bin was stunned and looked at Yang Ming in surprise. Bro, are you kidding? Yang Ming touched the ring in his pocket and then smiled at Zhang Bin. Of course not. I'm serious. Are you sure? Zhang Bin was still a little incredulous. Although there were often news of rich young masters pursuing celebrities on the internet, and Yang Ming was now considered a rich young master, Zhang Bin still felt that these things were a little distant from him. You are going to have a celebrity sister-in-law soon. Yang Ming patted Zhang Bin's shoulder and smiled mysteriously. Zhang Bin was confused by Yang Ming, but he was still very impressed by Yang Ming's ability to pick up girls. At that time, Chen Mengyan was the campus belle, but Yang Ming easily pursued her. Then, Lan Ling and Lin Jiyun were also the beauties of the beauties. There was still some time before the concert started. Zhang Bin began to talk about his one-night stand today. He kept talking about how coquettish the woman was. Yang Ming was speechless for a while. You know I don't like to do this, why don't you try it too? This feeling is really good. You don't have to be responsible, and there is no psychological burden. Zhang Bin suggested. Yeah. I don't have to be responsible. Yang Ming shook his head, but he really couldn't do it. He thought that Sun Jia would become a one-night stand, but now, the lights in the venue gradually dimmed. The concert was about to begin. Chapter 8:21. There was a burst of screams and applause in the variety hall. Shuya's fans were in a state of extreme excitement, enthusiastically shouting Shuya's name. Because Macau was an international metropolis, the number of people who came here was obviously twice as much as Songjiang. This was also thanks to the variety hall being much larger than the Songjiang Stadium. The exquisite and gorgeous lights suddenly shone on the stage. A fog dispersed, and a lift slowly rose. Shuya's beautiful figure appeared in front of the public. The audience immediately boiled up. They waved the light sticks in their hands and shouted Shuya's name loudly. What's more, they put up huge slogans and danced in the venue. Dear friends, good evening. Although Shuya had been accustomed to such a scene, she was still infected by the enthusiasm of the fans. She also responded enthusiastically and brought the most sincere greetings to the fans. Yang Ming was not as crazy as others. He smiled very calmly, but his eyes were fixed on Shuya's face. Is this a face wearing a mask? Why can't I see any flaws? Yang Ming had always been very confident in his eyes, but when he knew that Shuya was actually wearing a similar pair of glasses, he began to shake a little. Perhaps these two things were like contradictions. The two pairs of glasses that belonged to the same weird old man should have the function of guarding against each other, right? Thinking of this, Yang Ming couldn't help but feel a little funny. These two pairs of magical glasses were actually his and Suya's. Bro, you don't look like a fanatic fan, right? Zhang Bin looked at Yang Ming's indifferent look and wondered, why are you so unenthusiastic? Does enthusiasm have to be written on the face? Besides, my love for Shuya is different from theirs. Yang Ming shook his head. Damn. Zhang Bin said contemptuously, you love her, but she doesn't necessarily love you. Zhang Bin didn't know the twists and turns of the past between Yang Ming and Shuya. He thought that the two were just strangers. Hee, do you know who Shuya's first love was? Yang Ming didn't answer Zhang Bin's question but asked instead. How would I know? Do you think I'm a paparazzi? Are you trying to say that you are Shuya's first love? Zhang Bin said jokingly. Probably. Yang Ming smiled mysteriously and didn't continue. This was because the concert had already started. The opening song was a Cantonese song, which was different from Song Jiang. However, most of the fans here were from Guangdong and Hong Kong, and they were more proficient in Cantonese. However, although it was Cantonese, Yang Ming could understand it. What's more, Yang Ming had downloaded all of Shuya's albums in the past 2 days. He was familiar with almost every song. Yang Ming knew that Shuya might not notice him on the stage, and it was impossible for her to think that he followed her to Macau. Yang Ming didn't know why Shuya didn't recognize him when she was in Songjiang. Of course, it was impossible that Shuya didn't want to recognize him. Because now, when he association recalled the various times when he was with Shuya, he recalled it. For example, when the two of them drank fruit tea together and sat on the side of the road to talk, Shuya was hinting at him. It was a pity that he believed in his own eyes too much at the time. Although he doubted these hints, he just regarded them as coincidences. Thinking about it carefully, perhaps Shuya didn't recognize him because he already had a girlfriend, or because the two of them hadn't seen each other for many years, and he had changed a lot, making Shuya feel that he had become a stranger. But one thing was certain. Shuya still had the intention to recognize him, otherwise, she wouldn't frequently hint at him. The next song is the title song of my new album. It's called Our Anniversary. Shuya just spoke halfway when she suddenly remembered that this should be an interactive activity. There was such an activity at the concert in Songjiang. It should be arranged in Macau, so the record company arranged this song as an interactive program with the audience. I want to find an audience to sing this song with me. Is anyone willing to come on stage and try? Shuya looked at the audience under the stage and said softly. Sometimes people were really strange. When they were in Songjiang, Shuya invited Yang Ming, but Yang Ming directly refused. At this moment, Shuya invited the audience to sing with her. Yang Ming began to look forward to it again. Yang Ming was afraid that others would take the lead, so he didn't wait for Shuya to call his name. He stood up directly and walked to the stage. Fortunately, he was in the aisle, so it was more convenient to move. Originally, Shuya didn't notice that Yang Ming would be here. She didn't expect that Yang Ming would appear here. When she saw a person standing up in the audience, she frowned first. Why didn't I say who should come on stage, and this guy took the lead? But when she saw that this person was actually Yang Ming, she couldn't help but be surprised. Yang Ming actually appeared in Macau. Appeared in my concert. Moreover, looking at Yang Ming's intention, it seems that he wants to sing with me on stage. Shuya couldn't believe it because when she was in Songjiang, she invited Yang Ming to come on stage, but Yang Ming refused mercilessly. Now, he can take the initiative to come on stage. Ah. Right, is Yang Ming going to the bathroom? Shuya suddenly thought of a possibility. She felt that Yang Ming was unlikely to sing with her, but he wanted to go to the bathroom. No, I let him go last time. This time, I can't let him go again. Shuya said in her heart, who asked you to stand up at this time coincidentally or not? Humph, just admit that you are unlucky, this gentleman, it seems that you can't wait. Shuya smiled and looked at Yang Ming. She reached out and pointed at him. Then you. I will give you this opportunity. Yang Ming guessed that Shuya would invite him as long as she saw him, so he wasn't surprised. However, other people looked at Yang Ming with envious eyes. They regretted that they were slow to react. They didn't stand up like Yang Ming and get Shuya's favor. This time, Yang Ming didn't object. Instead, he walked towards the stage in a dignified manner. For Yang Ming's move, Shuya was also very surprised. Did he just give in like that? Last time in Songjiang, although Yang Ming refused Shuya's invitation to sing, no one could remember him. What's more, this time in Macau, there weren't many fans here, so no one recognized that Yang Ming was the person who had rejected Shuya in Songjiang. Do you know how to sing for our anniversary? Shuya was afraid that Yang Ming didn't know how to sing and would make a fool of himself on stage, so she asked in advance. The song is not fixed. It can be changed. Yes, let's sing this song. Yang Ming smiled, took the spare microphone handed by Shuya, and then nodded. Shuya looked at Yang Ming with some surprise. What happened to him this time? However, on the stage, naturally, she couldn't show her familiarity with Yang Ming. After a little surprise, she returned to normal. Okay, then I wish us a happy cooperation. The music sounded softly, and Shuya's sweet and pure voice crossed the sky, echoing in the huge variety hall. This song was written by Shuya for Yang Ming. Therefore, halfway through the song, Shuya actually became more and more immersed, and she grabbed Yang Ming's hand. However, this action was a bit bold in the eyes of the fans under the stage, but it was not an overboard action because many stars would hold the hands of their fans, although this was Shuya's first time. I remember that day, you put the ring on my finger. This is our anniversary. Singing until here, Shuya suddenly realized that the ring finger on her hand that was holding Yang Ming was slightly cold. It seemed that something was put on it. Shuya was shocked. She quickly pretended to raise her hand and looked at her hand, but she couldn't believe that the ring that she regarded as a treasure had returned to her hand at this moment. Shuya thought that she would never see this ring again, but she didn't expect that it would return to her hand. Moreover, it was Yang Ming who put it on her hand again. How did this ring run to Yang Ming's hand again? Did he already know who he was? Shuya resisted the excitement in her heart and almost sang the wrong lyrics. If it weren't for so many audience members looking at her, she immediately wanted to ask. She looked up and looked at Yang Ming in astonishment. Yang Ming smiled at her slightly. That's right, this was indeed her own ring. This ring had accompanied Shuya for so many years. Shuya could recognize it with a gentle touch. She was sure that this was the original ring and not a replica. However, how did Yang Ming get this ring? In this case, Yang Ming should have guessed my identity long ago, but why did he pretend not to know? Shuya's mind was in a mess. She almost sang the wrong lyrics several times. After the song was finally over, Shuya wanted to take the opportunity to turn off the microphone and ask, but Yang Ming had already left the stage and returned to his seat. The concert still had to continue. Even if Shuya was anxious, she could only hold back the doubts and curiosity in her heart and smiled at the fans under the stage. However, she often looked at Yang Ming with doubts and tenderness in her eyes. Damn, bro, there is definitely something fishy between you and Shuya. Yang Ming returned to the stage, but Zhang Bin began to doubt, especially when Shuya frequently looked at this side, which made Zhang Bin even more suspicious. Zhang Bin suspected this because of Yang Ming's previous words, and others naturally didn't know, so they wouldn't think in this direction at all. Otherwise, Yang Ming was likely to become the public enemy of the entire venue. I have known her for a long time. Do you believe it? Yang Ming turned his head and whispered to Zhang Bin. Chapter 822. Before. What do you mean? You already knew her in Songjiang. Zhang Bin knew through Zhao Sisi that Shuya had served as the advertising spokesperson for the jewelry company, so he said so. No, I mean earlier. Yang Ming shook his head and said with emotion and nostalgia. Earlier? What do you mean? Zhang Bin was somewhat puzzled. I will tell you when the time comes. Yang Ming waved the light stick in his hand and put in extra effort. When he saw Shu Ye's tender eyes, Yang Ming knew that Shu Ye had feelings for him. In the second half of the concert, although Shu Ye was already performing very hard, she was often absent-minded because she was thinking about the ring on her hand. Fortunately, the audience did not notice Shu Ye's abnormality, and the atmosphere at the scene was still very warm. Finally, the concert was over. Shu Ye wanted to immediately run to Yang Ming's side and ask, but because she was wearing a stage costume, and there were too many outsiders now, she could only look at Yang Ming's side with her eyes. She reluctantly returned to the backstage. Let's go. Yang Ming knew that after the concert, Shu Ye must be busy with the organizers. Perhaps the company would give her a celebration banquet, so Yang Ming didn't bother her, but he spoke to Zhang Bin next to him. There is definitely a problem. Zhang Bin walked and looked at Yang Ming suspiciously. Bro, what the hell is going on? Let's go out for a walk. Yang Ming looked at Zhang Bin, his best brother. He didn't intend to hide Shu Ye's matter from him, because this matter couldn't be hidden, and there was no need to hide it. Zhang Bin would know sooner or later. Yang Ming patted Zhang Bin's shoulder and went out of the entertainment hall with him. Zhang Bin knew that Yang Ming must have something important to say, so he didn't say anything. He just silently walked beside Yang Ming. It was already past 10 o'clock at night, but the streets were still brightly lit. The two of them casually entered a good-looking bar on the side of the road. Yang Ming intended to talk to Zhang Bin. Sir, please show your membership card. The security guard at the door stopped Yang Ming and Zhang Bin. Membership card. Yang Ming was stunned. We don't have one. Don't we receive ordinary guests here? I'm sorry, sir. We only accept members with membership cards, or you can be brought in by a member. We are not open to the public, the security guard said politely. I see. Yang Ming said helplessly, can I get a membership card? The membership card is issued once a year. There is a review of qualifications. You can't apply for it now, the security guard explained. Then forget it. I will just go to another bar. Yang Ming shook his head. It was not a big deal. There were such membership-based places everywhere. Without a membership card, he couldn't enter. Hey! It's you. As he was about to turn and leave, Yang Ming turned around and saw a familiar person. It was Huang Leilei's friend, the flight attendant on the plane, Wang Mei. What a coincidence. Yang Ming looked at Wang Mei's side. He didn't see Huang Leilei's figure, so he was relieved. Unexpectedly, Wang Mei's second sentence scared Yang Ming. You are quite good. How did you find out that Leilei is here? Do you want to ask her to drink as an apology? Ha! Yang Ming was stunned and said, Huang Leilei. She is here too. Yeah, you don't know. This time, it was Wang Mei's turn to be baffled. I made an appointment with Leilei to meet here. I thought you were looking for her. I just found a bar with a friend. I didn't expect that this place would require a membership card. Yang Ming said casually. It doesn't matter. I have a membership card here. I will take you in. As Wang Mei said this, she took out a card from her delicate small bag and handed it to the security guard. After the security guard checked it, he respectfully returned the card to Wang Mei. Wang Mei put the card back into the bag and then said to Yang Ming and Zhang Bin, let's go. Let's go in together. We don't need to, right? Yang Ming was now very afraid to see Huang Leilei, so he didn't want to join in the fun with them, so he wanted to leave. Let's go together. It's more lively. We will apologize to Leilei later. Leilei is actually a very good person. Wang Mei said. However, Zhang Bin, when he saw Wang Mei, began to have dirty thoughts again. Seeing that Wang Mei kept inviting them, his heart was a little itchy. Without waiting for Yang Ming to answer again, he agreed. Okay, then let's do it here. Seeing that Zhang Bin had already agreed, Yang Ming couldn't help it. He couldn't not give face to Zhang Bin, right? In desperation, he had to bite the bullet and walk into the bar together. However, halfway through, he whispered to Zhang Bin, "There are many people now. Let's talk about what you want to know next time." Zhang Bin woke up. Compared to the nonsense of the one-night stand, Yang Ming's matter was serious. Zhang Bin also wanted to know about the past of Yang Ming and Xu Ya. He couldn't help but regret it, but he had already entered the bar. How could he withdraw? Zhang Bin touched his scalp embarrassedly and then said awkwardly, "I'm sorry, bro, forget it. Let's talk about my matter when we go back." Yang Ming didn't want Zhang Bin to blame himself too much, so he smiled indifferently. Under the leadership of Wang Mei, the three of them walked to a card seat in the mouth. Sure enough, they saw that Huang Lele was already sitting there, fiddling with her nails and painting them with nail polish. "Lele!" Wang Mei called out. When Huang Lele heard Wang Mei's voice, she quickly reached out and waved, but when she saw that Yang Ming was also there, her face suddenly sank. "Why are you here?" Huang Lele asked coldly. "He came to apologize to you." Wang Mei didn't wait for Yang Ming to speak and spoke first. She kept winking at Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't need to provoke Huang Lele, but he didn't feel that he had offended Huang Lele. However, since Wang Mei said so, Yang Ming also held the attitude of a good man who didn't fight with a woman and nodded. Huang Lele saw that Yang Ming came to apologize, and her face was a little better. Let's see how you perform. You dare to offend me. I won't let you have a good time. My name is Zhang Bin. I'm Yang Ming's buddy." Zhang Bin introduced himself. Seeing that Huang Lele was so beautiful, Zhang Bin almost drooled. The key problem was that it seemed that his boss, Yang Ming, didn't seem to like this Huang Lele, so Zhang Bin's heart was a little excited. This is the best. If I can be with her. Zhang Bin couldn't help but let his imagination run wild. My name is Wang Mei. She is Huang Lele. Well, everyone knows each other. We are good friends. Let's sit down. Wang Mei mediated the atmosphere. Huang Lele had been waiting for Yang Ming to apologize to her, but after Yang Ming sat down, there was no movement. Huang Lele couldn't help but be annoyed. Is this guy fooling me? Cough, cough. Does someone have something to say? Huang Lele was a little girl in the end. She didn't have any shrewdness. She couldn't help it and began to use words to hint. Well, if I have offended Miss Huang before, I hope you can forgive me. As Yang Ming spoke, he raised the wine glass in front of him and then drank it. That's it. Huang Lele thought that Yang Ming would say something. Do you want to fool me with such a meaningless sentence? What do you mean by offending me before? Don't you know how you have offended me? In this case, Yang Ming's apology was better off not saying it. After saying it, Huang Lele was even angrier. She was going to die of anger. Who is this person? Why does it seem like I am a delicious cake? Who wants it? Who do you think you are? I, Huang Lele, am also a princess of a wealthy family. You still put on airs with me. Wang Mei was also very helpless. Yang Ming's words were really difficult to not make people angry. She quickly mediated, well, Lele, Yang Ming also apologized. You don't have to be angry with him. I'm angry with him. Ha, who wants it? Huang Lele said as she snorted. Yeah, Lele. My boss is like this. He is usually cool. Zhang Bin had been looking for an opportunity to talk to Wang Lele. At this moment, he finally found an opportunity. What does that have to do with me? Wang Lele did not look at Zhang Bin. She sat there angrily. Zhang Bin was not a fool. He had his own way of flirting with little girls. When he heard Wang Lele's current tone, he knew that there was no chance, so he changed his target to Wang Mei. Wang Mei's character was very open. When she was in the flight attendant school, she had several boyfriends. On the other hand, she was very open with Zhang Bin. Zhang Bin saw that Wang Mei was easier to get along with, so he began to attack. He kept talking about some humorous topics, which attracted Wang Mei's laughter. However, Wang Lele did not laugh. She had been staring at Yang Ming as if she wanted to eat Yang Ming. In this regard, Yang Ming was also very helpless. In order not to cause more trouble, Yang Ming did not dare to talk to Wang Lele. Zhang Bin was chatting with Wang Mei. Yang Ming had nothing to do. He could only drink beer by himself. I think some people want to drink to death. Wang Lele saw that Yang Ming was stared at by her and did not dare to look up. He drank beer by beer. She was a little happy in her heart, so she said sarcastically. Yang Ming did not expect Wang Lele's temper to be like a child. He shook his head helplessly and did not dare to speak. Originally, Wang Lele was very happy when she saw that Yang Ming did not dare to look up and only dared to drink. However, after she said a few words, Yang Ming was still like a taciturn gourd. He did not say a word. She was a little bored. She snorted, "Is someone mute?" Yang Ming sighed and had to look up. Lele, the words that should be said have been said. We are really not suitable, you. Wang Lele listened to Yang Ming's words and almost died of anger. What do you mean by the words that should be said have been said? What do you mean by we are really not suitable? Why does it seem like I am shamelessly sticking to you? Wang Lele had long seen that Yang Ming did not really want to apologize. It must be that Wang Mei happened to meet him halfway. This guy is really arrogant. Does he think that I like him? What kind of person is he? Wang Lele was so angry that she gritted her teeth. She stared at Yang Ming with her eyes wide open like a little lion. After staring for a while, her eyes hurt. Yang Ming lowered his head and did not speak. Wang Lele was aware that she was not interested. She was so angry that she also drank. Wang Mei was not a conservative person. With the help of alcohol, she began to put her arm around Zhang Bin's shoulder. Wang Lele saw it in her eyes and did not feel that there was anything wrong. She had seen a lot of such people. The reason why Wang Lele was not like Wang Mei was that her vision was higher, and she had not met the person she liked. Coupled with Wang Lele's family education, she always felt that girls should be more reserved. However, today's Yang Ming made her so angry that she was confused. How could she care about being reserved? The more Wang Lele drank, the angrier she became. The more she thought, the angrier she became. This Yang Ming, is he really arrogant? Does he think that no one wants me? On the other side, Zhang Bin and Wang Mei were talking and laughing. On the other side, Yang Ming and Wang Lele were drinking alone. Lele, you two are really like a couple. Both of you are so silent. Wang Mei made a joke with the help of alcohol. Wang Mei, don't joke anymore. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. Wang Lele wanted to say, who is a couple with him? But Yang Ming took the lead. This time, she was so angry that she trembled a little. You two drink slowly. I will go first. Wang Mei's face was full of lust. Zhang Bin smiled and supported her. Yang Ming shook his head. This Zhang Bin is really good at this. But I have some resistance to one-night stands. Otherwise, this Huang Lele in front of me is a good choice. Originally, Yang Ming was a little moved by Huang Lele. At this moment, he thought of these messy things. With the help of alcohol, his eyes began to blur as he looked at Huang Lele. Huang Lele was sulking over there. Thinking of Yang Ming's attitude, Huang Lele's tears almost came out. Since childhood, when had she been humiliated like this? Looking at the backs of Wang Mei and Zhang Bin, a crazy idea suddenly emerged in Huang Lele's mind. Huang Lele grabbed the remaining half glass of wine on the table and drank it in one breath. Then, she wiped her mouth beautifully. She suddenly stood up and reached out to Yang Ming. Yang Ming was pulled by Huang Lele. He was suddenly inexplicable. He raised his head and looked at Huang Lele. "Follow me." Huang Lele couldn't help but drag Yang Ming forward. Yang Ming didn't know what Huang Lele wanted to do, but being pulled by Huang Lele's soft little hand, Yang Ming's heart throbbed. Originally, Yang Ming was a little drunk, so he followed Huang Lele in a daze. It was better to say that Yang Ming actually felt guilty for rejecting Huang Lele, and Huang Lele couldn't bring any danger to him, so Yang Ming followed Huang Lele. Following Huang Lele upstairs, Huang Lele took out a card from her handbag and skillfully opened the door of a lounge upstairs. Obviously, it was probably Huang Lele's fixed room here. Pang! After Yang Ming entered the room, Huang Lele closed the door and locked it. For Huang Lele's action, Yang Ming was somewhat inexplicable, but he wasn't nervous. After all, with Yang Ming's current strength, Huang Lele couldn't pose a threat to him. Of course, Yang Ming didn't expect Huang Lele to have such a crazy idea. He just guessed that Huang Lele was probably angry with him and wanted to find a place where no one was to talk to him. Since he was here, it was good to talk about some things. Although Yang Ming also thought that Huang Lele was very beautiful, even more than Chen Mengyan, Yang Ming knew that he couldn't provoke anymore, or he would be finished. That. "Lele, do you want to talk about it?" Yang Ming sat on the bed and looked up, but he met Huang Lele's gaze. Huang Lele suddenly tore off her top, revealing the underwear inside. Then, she rushed to Yang Ming's body. Her small mouth approached Yang Ming's mouth. "I'll let you pretend to be serious. I'll let you pretend to be serious. I'll give it to you for free. Do you want to?" Huang Lele's temperament was still very childish. She didn't consider the consequences when she did things. She just thought that Yang Ming was too arrogant. His disdain for her made Huang Lele annoyed. In order to suppress Yang Ming's arrogance, Huang Lele came up with such a method. She wanted to see if Yang Ming could still be serious. Yang Ming was shocked and shocked. He subconsciously wanted to push Huang Lele away. "What are you doing? Pretend. Continue to pretend." Huang Lele just wanted to test it out, but after being rejected by Yang Ming, her competitive spirit suddenly rose. She couldn't care much. She hugged Yang Ming and kissed his mouth. Yang Ming was not a gentleman, and Yang Ming had never regarded himself as a gentleman. Huang Lele's girlish body fragrance seeped into Yang Ming's nose, making Yang Ming's breathing become rapid. "This Huang Lele, what is she doing? Isn't she forcing me to commit a crime?" If Yang Ming had not been moved by Huang Lele, then it would be fine. However, Yang Ming was already moved by Huang Lele. He just didn't want to cause trouble again, so he had been restraining himself. But now, as long as it was a normal man, he couldn't help it. How would Huang Lele know how to kiss? Her experience came entirely from the soap operas on TV. However, it was also so inexperienced that it made Yang Ming's heart even more itchy. Huang Lele just kissed Yang Ming's lips desperately. She would not put her tongue in, but the more it was like this, the more reluctant Yang Ming was to let go. His mind was hot, and he couldn't help but start to guide Huang Lele to kiss. Suddenly, she felt Yang Ming's tongue probing over. Huang Lele was shocked at first, but then there was a burst of joy. Let's see if you can still be serious. You can't help it. How would Huang Lele seduce a man? It was just that she was very seductive, but the way she played was too dangerous. Huang Lele stupidly thought that she had suppressed Yang Ming, but she didn't consider that she was taken advantage of by Yang Ming. In for a penny, in for a pound. She simply tore off all the clothes on her upper body. She just wanted to see what would become of Yang Ming's dignified appearance. How could Yang Ming bear it? Coupled with the effect of alcohol, he gritted his teeth, turned over, and pushed Huang Lele down on the bed. Ah! The deep tingling and tearing feeling made Huang Lele, who had a sense of accomplishment, frown suddenly. Why is it so painful? It's so painful. This Wang Mei and Lu Xiaoran can really lie. They lied to me and said that it was comfortable to do this with a man. They are really two big liars. Huang Lele really wanted to call them now to scold them. However, looking at the obsessed and crazy Yang Ming on her body, Huang Lele showed a satisfied and victorious smile. Let's see if you can still pretend with me. So, Huang Lele endured the pain and let Yang Ming manipulate her. However, slowly, the pain disappeared, and it was replaced by a very wonderful feeling. Huang Lele couldn't help but moan. After the joy, Yang Ming's mood was extremely heavy. Looking at the blood on the bed, Yang Ming was very guilty. Huang Lele didn't feel anything at all. First, it was because the friends around her had a relationship with her boyfriend. Second, she was immersed in the joy of suppressing Yang Ming's arrogance at the moment. She didn't think about the consequences of this matter. However, Yang Ming was Yang Ming after all. After a moment of contemplation, he said directly, Lele, I will be responsible for you. Ah. Huang Lele thought that Yang Ming would say something like he was ashamed, couldn't resist the temptation, and didn't dare to pretend to be noble. She didn't expect that he would say such a sentence. Responsible? Did I say that you are responsible? Listening to Yang Ming's tone, Huang Lele was angry. What do you mean? It seems that I can't get married after doing it with you once. Can't you stop pretending? Who wants you to be responsible? It's funny. Huang Lele sneered. Who do you think you are? Let me tell you, you're just this lady's one-night stand. After I finished using you, I dumped you. Let me tell you, there are many people who have been dumped by me. Don't think too much. Yang Ming was speechless. He looked at Huang Lele in astonishment. After a while, he pointed to the blood on the bed and said, Okay, Lele, I know it's your first time. Who is the first time? I did it today. Huang Lele was nervous at first, then she said affirmatively. Well, I admit it. I was wrong before. I like you, okay? Yang Ming knew that Huang Lele was angry in her heart. Anyway, there was only one person here, so he had to put down his face to apologize. It's funny. You like me. I don't like you. Huang Lele quickly put on her clothes and walked to the door. I'm leaving. You lock the door yourself, see you never. After taking 2 steps, Huang Lele let out an ah and almost lost her footing. The pain between her legs was terrible. In order to show that it was not her first time, Huang Lele gritted her teeth and insisted on limping out of the door. Yang Ming was stunned as he watched Huang Lele walk out of the room. His face was stunned. He smiled bitterly, carefully put away the sheet on the bed, and then put it in the closet here. He was afraid that the waiter would take the sheet to wash, so he put it away first. After that, he quickly chased out. Chapter 823. Since it happened, Yang Ming had nothing to regret. He just felt that Huang Lele was too impulsive. She didn't consider the consequences when she did things. How could she lose her first time so casually? And she actually pretended to be indifferent and said that it wasn't her first time. Yang Ming was a little dumbfounded. Let's solve Shuya's problem first, and then find a chance to solve Huang Lele's problem. Yang Ming's feelings for Huang Lele were mostly his love for her appearance and body. He didn't know much about Huang Lele herself. When he walked to the hotel door, he just saw Huang Lele get on a yellow Porsche Boxster and leave. This car was quite suitable for Huang Lele. The yellow color was quite cute. He stopped a taxi and returned to the hotel. Zhang Bin hadn't come back yet. Yang Ming was lying on the bed of the hotel and was somewhat helpless. Chen Mengyan was right. Every time he went out, he would get into a love debt. He didn't know how to tell Chen Mengyan about Huang Lele's matter. He could only take one step at a time. He fell asleep in a daze. In the middle of the night, he heard the sound of the door opening. It turned out that Zhang Bin was back. Damn, it's really cool. Zhang Bin closed the door and said to himself, this chick's kung fu is really not ordinary. Can you be a little quieter? I was asleep, but you woke me up. Yang Ming said impatiently, hurry up and sleep. What time is it? Hey. Bro. You're actually here. Zhang Bin didn't turn on the light when he entered the room, so he didn't know that Yang Ming was in the room. I thought you didn't come back. Weren't you and Huang Lele? What happened to her and me? Yang Ming was a little nervous subconsciously. Did Huang Lele say something to Wang Mei? Then Wang Mei told Zhang Bin. I thought the two of you would drink until dawn. Zhang Bin didn't hear anything about it. Yang Ming breathed a sigh of relief. She couldn't wait to eat me. Why would she drink until dawn? When the words came out, Yang Ming thought, isn't this eating? It's true. Hee, that's true. Zhang Bin nodded after listening. He said with some regret, bro, what's wrong with you? If it were me, I would develop Huang Lele into a lover. Such a beauty. It's such a pity, lover. Yang Ming's heart moved. It was indeed a very cool thing for Huang Lele to be his mistress, especially since Huang Lele's home was probably in Macau. It was just a flight route between Donghai and Macau. If she really became his mistress, there would not be many opportunities to meet each other. He was not afraid that Chen Mengyan and the others would notice. Thinking of this, Yang Ming was really tempted. Yang Ming, how did you become such a person now? Yang Ming couldn't help but blame himself. He actually thought of such an evil idea. That Wang Mei seems to have a boyfriend. We're not familiar with this place. It's best not to cause any trouble. Yang Ming didn't say much. He just told Zhang Bin. I know. That girl went to her boyfriend after she finished with me. Zhang Bin smiled and said, it seems that you're still not satisfied. Yang Ming shook his head helplessly. Zhang Bin is a good person, but this habit is really not good. It has been like this since high school. Right, bro, don't talk about me. Can you tell me what happened between you and Shuya? Zhang Bin took a shower and lay on the bed. He began to chat with Yang Ming. I say, do you still want to sleep? Yang Ming was just a little sleepy, but he was awakened by Zhang Bin's voice. Ugh. I'm not very sleepy. Talk to me. Zhang Bin said with some embarrassment. Damn, I really can't sleep. Yang Ming couldn't help it, but he was woken up twice in one night. He really couldn't sleep anymore. Yang Ming picked up the drink by the bed and took a sip. Then he sat up. Say it, say it. Hee. Zhang Bin laughed twice and said, "Bro, did you and Shuya know each other before?" "She and I don't just know each other." When Shuya was mentioned, Yang Ming was a little fascinated and remembered the past. "Don't just know each other. Did you and her have?" Zhang Bin listened to Yang Ming's words and couldn't help but be a little surprised. Since she and Yang Ming had something, why have I never heard Yang Ming mention it? "Do you remember what I told you before? It was when I was in junior high school, I and a girl named Suya." Yang Ming didn't directly answer Zhang Bin's words, but he said it himself. "Suya." Zhang Bin was slightly stunned, and then he exclaimed, "Damn, bro, you don't want to say that Suya is this Shuya, right?" Yang Ming ignored Zhang Bin's surprise and nodded. He said, "It is her." "Aw. But why didn't you tell me before?" Zhang Bin's mouth was wide open at the moment, like a crocodile. "Previously, I didn't know. For some reason, Suya's face changed a little, and I couldn't recognize her." Yang Ming shook his head and said, "It was after that, I met her father, and I knew her identity." "Her father? Isn't he the person who stopped you from being together? Why would he tell you this?" Zhang Bin was a little baffled. Things are sometimes so strange. As Yang Ming said this, he felt a little funny. Suya's father actually wants to be the agent of Ming Yang Heavy Industry. No way, right? Ha ha ha, this person, oh. Every dog has its day. He probably wouldn't have thought of such a day in the past, right? After Zhang Bin heard it, he also laughed with relief. Yang Ming waved his hand. "You can't say that." After all, he also looked at the problem from the perspective of a father. "I don't hate him. This is also true." "When Shuya was in Songjiang, didn't you recognize her?" asked Zhang Bin. "She hinted at me, but I thought at the time that a person's face couldn't change so much, so I didn't take it seriously." Now that he thought about it, she had a purpose at the time. A purpose? "Ha, you two are really funny. Can't you just say it directly? What are you hinting at?" Zhang Bin said with amusement after listening. "It's probably because I already have a girlfriend." Yang Ming guessed. "Bro, your luck with women is too strong. Damn, it's amazing. You actually have a celebrity wife." Zhang Bin really admired Yang Ming. "I guess she will be very busy these days." "Wait. Let's have a meal together and introduce her to you," Yang Ming said. "That's a must." Zhang Bin nodded. After chatting for a while, the topic of the two changed from women to casinos in Macau. In fact, it was the result of Zhang Bin's intentional guidance. Yang Ming wasn't interested in these, but Zhang Bin was itching in his heart. "Bro, I heard Wang Mei say that Huang Leilei's family runs a casino." "Her family runs a casino?" Yang Ming frowned and smiled bitterly. "How can I know this? But it has nothing to do with us whether she runs a casino or not, right? Wang Mei said that she can take us to her family's casino. It's not a big game, so we don't have to spend money," Zhang Bin said with some yearning. Yang Ming was really helpless because of Zhang Bin. "If you want to try, then go and try. I really have no interest. I can accompany you." "Really?" Zhang Bin was delighted. "Then, tomorrow." "Tomorrow. Okay." Yang Ming thought about it. "Maybe I can see Huang Leilei. At that time, I will talk to her and see what she wants." Zhang Bin got a positive answer from Yang Ming and went to sleep contentedly. Yang Ming couldn't sleep, fortunately. Zhang Bin also slept late. Yang Ming didn't sleep until the morning. At 10:00 in the morning, Zhang Bin was awakened by the ringtone of the mobile phone. He was impatient, but after glancing at the caller ID, he immediately became energetic. It was Wang Mei who called. She asked Zhang Bin to go to Huang Leilei's casino to see. Zhang Bin was excited all of a sudden. He pulled Yang Ming and went straight to the hotel. He stopped a taxi and went straight to the agreed place. Huawei Casino. Yang Ming looked at the sign of the casino and couldn't help but be stunned. Why is this name so familiar? After thinking about it carefully, he suddenly realized. Zheng Xiaoping, who was offered a bounty for assassination, belonged to this casino. Is this casino owned by Huang Leilei's family? Yang Ming looked at the bustling entrance of the casino. Originally, Yang Ming was still holding the attitude that it was none of his business. He was watching this assassination from a distance. But now, he had no choice but to consider a deeper level of things. Does the bounty hirer have a personal grudge with Zheng Xiaoping or a grudge with the casino? If it was a personal grudge, it would be fine. But if there was a hatred with the casino, then Yang Ming couldn't sit idly by anymore. After all, now that he had that relationship with Huang Leilei, Yang Ming couldn't ignore it. Bro, what are you doing? Zhang Bin saw that Yang Ming was in a daze and pulled him puzzledly. Nothing. Yang Ming recovered. Although he and Zhang Bin were best brothers, there were still some words that couldn't be said to him. Zhang Bin. Not long after, he saw Wang Mei come down from a taxi and waved to Zhang Bin. When she saw Yang Ming, she didn't feel anything abrupt. Instead, she smiled and asked, "You and Leilei, what happened in the end?" Yang Ming shrugged and smiled. "It's okay. Hee, I was wondering why Leilei was not angry when I mentioned you this morning. Instead, she was very happy." Wang Mei also smiled. "It seems that you reconciled with her." Happy. Yang Ming thought that Huang Leilei would regret it after she figured it out. After all, a girl's first time was very precious, but he didn't expect that Huang Leilei would actually be happy. Yang Ming really couldn't understand what Huang Leilei was thinking. Chapter 824. Reconcile. Yang Ming felt weird after listening to Wang Mei's words. Is it reconcile? Yang Ming didn't know himself. It was a very strange feeling. Isn't it? Wang Mei listened to Yang Ming's somewhat strange rhetorical question and couldn't help but wonder. Probably. Yang Ming nodded perfunctorily. Zhang Bin put his hand on Wang Mei's waist. Wang Mei pushed him and let him do it. For Zhang Bin's behavior, Yang Ming frowned, but he had already talked to him about this issue before. Now, in front of Wang Mei, it was even more inappropriate to mention it again, so he didn't say anything. The three people entered the casino together. The security guards at the entrance of the casino knew Wang Mei and knew that she was a friend of the young lady. They all nodded to her and greeted her. "Miss Wang, the young lady is waiting for you and your friend on the second floor. I will take you there." "Okay." Wang Mei nodded. "Sorry to trouble you." The security guard walked in front to lead the way. Wang Mei and Zhang Bin walked in the middle, and Yang Ming walked in the back. The decoration here was no less luxurious than Heavenly Earth, but it was obvious that it was much livelier than Heavenly Earth. This was the case no matter from the number of waiters or the flow of guests. It was no wonder that the gambling industry was one of the economic pillars of Macau. Most of the Asian gamblers would choose Macau instead of Las Vegas. After all, the road was there. In fact, there was no need for the security guard to lead the way. Wang Mei was already very familiar with this place. Leading the way was just a superficial courtesy. On the second floor, Wang Mei went straight to the innermost room that did not have any room signs, but a "Do Not Disturb" sign was placed at the door. Without knocking on the door, she pushed the door and walked in directly. "Leilei, I am here." Huang Leilei was playing Bubble Bobble in front of the computer. When she heard Wang Mei's voice, she was too lazy to lift her head. She responded, and then you take Zhang Bin to play. I am playing Bubble Bobble for a while and challenging others. With Huang Leilei's words, the security guard was relieved. Otherwise, although Wang Mei was a friend of the young lady, if he lost too much in the casino, he couldn't afford to be blamed by the higher-ups. This security guard was the captain of the security team, Chen Hu. He used to be the bodyguard of Huang Leilei's second brother, so the Huang family was willing to ask him for help. Zhang Bin and Wang Mei followed Chen Hu out of the room, but Yang Ming did not follow. When Zhang Bin was about to call him, Wang Mei slapped his outstretched hand and whispered, "Are you stupid?" Zhang Bin was stunned and immediately smiled. He looked at Yang Ming and then looked at Huang Leilei ambiguously. He thought, boss won't be enlightened, right? After closing the door, only Yang Ming and Huang Leilei were left in the room. Huang Leilei was playing happily. She didn't notice that there was another person in the room. How can he play so fast? It's over, it's over. I'm going to die. Looking at the bubbles on her side being added more and more by the other party, Huang Leilei was anxious. She didn't care about the rules and slammed on the keyboard. However, the more she slammed, the messier it became. It was going to be game over. Looking at Huang Leilei's carefree play, Yang Ming was really speechless. Yesterday, the two of them just did that. Huang Leilei was like nothing had happened. She was dancing and playing online games. Let me do it. Yang Ming walked to Huang Leilei's side and pointed to the computer screen. Ah! Huang Leilei was shocked. She didn't expect that there was someone around her. When she looked up and saw that it was Yang Ming, she was relieved, but she didn't believe it. You? Can you do it? Yang Ming was really speechless this time. He thought that Huang Leilei would blush or even be embarrassed when she saw him, but he didn't expect Huang Leilei to question whether he knew how to play games. Won't you know if you try? Yang Ming and Huang Leilei already had that relationship, so there was not so much taboo in their behavior. Anyway, Yang Ming had made up his mind to accept Huang Leilei. Huang Leilei sat on a sofa bed. Yang Ming sat directly next to her and grabbed the keyboard from Huang Leilei's hand. Huang Leilei was dissatisfied. Yeah, she moved her body to the side. Do you want to squeeze me to death? However, the two were still very close to each other. Huang Leilei stared at the computer screen closely. She was afraid that Yang Ming would break it. I'm a bubble mentor. Don't make me lose my experience. Yang Ming smiled faintly. Although Yang Ming's points in the QQ game were not high, it did not mean that Yang Ming was not a master. Don't underestimate this seemingly simple bubble bobble. In fact, there was a big story behind it. If you want to play bubble bobble well, you not only need to have agile reflexes, but also have keen judgment so that you can ensure that you can defeat the bubbles of various colors and win. These two were exactly what Yang Ming had. If an assassin didn't have these two basic skills, then he could only wait for death. Therefore, Yang Ming could still easily master this bubble bobble game. After a few crooked balls, Yang Ming gradually found his state, but Huang Leilei was anxious because she saw that Yang Ming played worse than her. If this continued, it would be strange if he didn't lose. She couldn't help but say, Yang Ming, do you know how to play or not? You're deliberately retaliating, right? Don't be noisy. Yang Ming gestured for her to keep quiet. He pointed at the keyboard and then pointed at the player who challenged Huang Leilei on the screen. Your keyboard is not smooth. I'm trying to find the feeling. He will lose immediately. Really? Huang Leilei obviously didn't believe it. However, Yang Ming seemed to be really powerful. The bubbles on her side were decreasing layer by layer, but the bubbles of the opponent were constantly increasing. Ah! Huang Lele looked at the computer screen in surprise and excitement. Her eyes widened. Really? He will die soon. Yang Ming was operating the computer. If Huang Lele wanted to see clearly, she had to turn her body sideways. In this way, Huang Lele's chest inevitably touched Yang Ming's arm, giving Yang Ming a strange feeling. Yang Ming looked at Huang Lele's chest and looked at the excited Huang Lele. He really didn't know what to say. He had seen people who were careless, but he had never seen someone like this. It shouldn't be described as careless. How should I say it? To put it nicely, it was called naive. To put it bluntly, it was called stupid. Finally, the bubbles on the other side filled the screen. The game was over. Yang Ming won. Huang Lele was stunned at first, then she immediately exclaimed, "Won! I actually won! I defeated Little Fox Fairy." Little Fox Fairy, what is that? Yang Ming was somewhat inexplicable. It is the master of Bubble Dragon. She is already at the level of Bubble Martian. I have never won when I challenged her. Today is the first time. Huang Lele was so surprised that she danced with joy. Yang Ming looked at the other party's nickname. Sure enough, she was called Little Fox Fairy. Her level was Bubble Martian. Although he didn't know if Martian was more powerful than Mentor, seeing Huang Lele's overjoyed appearance, it was probably the case. Lele, you cheated. Did you turn on G? Little Fox Fairy sent a private message on the computer screen. What does G mean? Yang Ming rarely played these things. Naturally, he didn't know these professional terms. It is a game plugin. After Huang Lele saw it, she grabbed the keyboard and typed, "Who turned on G?" Don't talk nonsense. Why? Are you not convinced after losing? It's not that I'm not convinced. Why did you suddenly become powerful when you were about to die before? Asked Little Fox Fairy. Hee, it's a secret. Huang Lele glanced at Yang Ming and then typed. I just don't believe it. Why don't we go to the little new game hall again? Little Fox Fairy said unconvinced. Let's go. Who is afraid of who? Huang Lele typed. Huang Lele opened an icon on the desktop called Xiaoxin Game Hall. This was a new game hall. The content inside was similar to the QQ Game Alliance game. It was just that it did not appear for a long time. There was no plugin for it in the world, so Little Fox Fairy would specify here for the competition. Huang Lele skillfully logged into her account, then found Little Fox Fairy in the friend column. She pulled her into a separate room, and the battle began. Huang Lele pushed the keyboard to Yang Ming and said, "It's your turn." Yang Ming smiled bitterly and took the keyboard. Then, he began to concentrate on the competition with Little Fox Fairy. Although Little Fox Fairy kept saying that Huang Lele used a plugin, she didn't dare to neglect this time. Although there were similar plugins in the world, Little Fox Fairy was very clear that no matter how good the plugin was, it was always just a program. It couldn't be as smart as a human brain. It was okay to use a plugin to compete with the average player, but when encountering a player above the level of Teacher Bubble, the plugin had no advantage at all. Instead, it would die faster. Not to mention that she was a Bubble Martian. However, Little Fox Fairy unexpectedly found that this time she lost even more miserably. She still persisted for a long time. This time, she died in a few minutes. Little Fox Fairy was so angry that she sent a rage emoji. Huang Lele came over and stuck to Yang Ming's body. She sent a few smiley faces with the keyboard. Yang Ming had a physiological reaction, but Huang Lele didn't know it. She was very excited. Yang Ming, you are really amazing. Yang Ming scratched his head. If you said this to me in bed last night, I would be very happy, but now. What is this? It's just playing Bubble Bobble. Huang Lele was happily curled up there and typed to Little Fox Fairy. Yang Ming enjoyed the feeling of Huang Lele rubbing against him. This kind of feeling of rubbing against each other was really wonderful. At this time, the door of the room was pushed open. Wang Mei came in. Just as she was about to speak, she saw the intimate look of Huang Lele and Yang Ming. She was stunned at first, then she showed a clear look. It seemed that the two must be together. Chapter 825. When Wang Mei saw such a scene, she didn't want to be the annoying third wheel and quietly left the door. Huang Lele was in high spirits, and her attention was on the computer. How would she notice Wang Mei coming in? But Yang Ming was different. When the door just sounded, he locked his attention there. Originally, Yang Ming was instinctively careful as an assassin, not to mention that it was a special time now. Someone wanted to assassinate Jing Xiaoping, a consultant in the Huawei casino. Who knew if they would plot against Huang Lele? So, how could Yang Ming relax his vigilance? But when he saw that it was Wang Mei, he didn't care. When he saw her quietly leave, he couldn't help but find it funny. Huang Lele and I are like this. It's hard not to be misunderstood, right? Little Fox Fairy over there had completely lost her temper. Just now in the QQ game hall, she suspected that Huang Lele had used a plug-in assistance program. However, in the Shaoxing game hall, there was no plug-in available at all. Therefore, Little Fox Fairy had lost, and there was no excuse. What was the use of being angry when her skills were not as good as others? Huang Lele was happy, and Little Fox Fairy over there suddenly reacted. She said to Huang Lele, "I know. You must have found a shooter. You are not the one playing there." Huang Lele was stunned. She didn't expect Little Fox Fairy to be so smart. She actually guessed that she found someone to replace her. But it was no wonder. Little Fox Fairy and Huang Lele were old opponents in the game. Who didn't know each other? Suddenly, Huang Lele won twice in a row. The second time was such a high-profile victory. How could Little Fox Fairy not be suspicious? She didn't react because the loss was too tragic. She hadn't recovered from the pain of failure. Now that she thought about it, she felt that something was wrong. Just now, Huang Lele was about to lose. How did she suddenly change a person and turn defeat into victory? When Little Fox Fairy thought of this, she immediately had this bold conjecture. However, Huang Lele was exposed. She was quite embarrassed. Her face was flushed. She pursed her lips and typed, "The one playing with you just now is my apprentice. You can't even beat my apprentice." Yang Ming was stunned. When did I become Huang Lele's apprentice? But this is nothing. I will just accept her bragging. But how would Little Fox Fairy believe it? Apprentice. Playing Bubble Bobble can also accept an apprentice. He typed, "Keep bragging." Huang Lele wanted to continue bragging, but Yang Ming closed the dialogue window with a click of the mouse. "What are you doing?" Huang Lele frowned and looked at Yang Ming in confusion. "Stop playing. I have something to ask you." Yang Ming turned off the monitor. Seeing that Yang Ming was so overbearing, Huang Lele couldn't help but pout angrily. "Seeing that you helped me win against her, I won't argue with you this time." Yang Ming couldn't help but laugh. "What were you thinking yesterday?" "What do you mean, what did you think yesterday?" Huang Lele was stunned. She was thinking about the computer game. She didn't think about what Yang Ming was talking about. "You didn't forget what you did to me yesterday, right?" Yang Ming couldn't help but shake his head. This Huang Lele is really the best. Oh, you are talking about yesterday. Huang Lele finally remembered what she did with Yang Ming yesterday, but she was very excited. Hey, don't you think you are great? Don't you think you are virtuous? In the end, weren't you fascinated by me? Yang Ming opened his mouth, but in the end, he didn't say anything because he didn't know what to say. Why did Huang Lele still feel that she did something very proud yesterday? Didn't she think that she suffered a big loss? You want to prove this? Yang Ming was stunned for a long time before he asked with a bitter smile. Yeah. Huang Lele nodded seriously. Now, do you dare to say that you don't like me? Yang Ming touched his chin and sighed. First, I want to clarify that I have never pretended to be virtuous. I don't think I am great. On the contrary, I think I am a lecher. Second, I have never said that I don't like you. If I am not tempted by you, then I am not a normal man. But, whether I am lecherous or tempted, I can't escape the fact that I have a girlfriend. So, I have the will, but I don't have the strength. Ha! Huang Lele widened her eyes and stared at Yang Ming without blinking. After a while, she finally said, "Why didn't you say so earlier?" Although Huang Lele's character was very pure, she didn't think that the relationship between her and Yang Ming was inappropriate, but she was a woman after all. She also knew how important a woman's first time was. At first, she ignored this because she wanted to vent her anger. Anyway, she was the miss of the Huang family. Her future husband wouldn't dare to care about this. However, when what she did became meaningless, Huang Lele really wanted to cry but had no tears. Yang Ming readily admitted that he was tempted by her, and the previous rejection was only because he had a girlfriend. Huang Lele bit her lip. She was so angry that her chest was heaving up and down. After a long time, did I misunderstand? Then, my first time is gone just like that. As the saying goes, some people's death is as light as a feather. Some people's death is heavier than Mount Tai. If you want to die, at least you have to die meaningfully. My first time should at least have some meaning, right? Now that it had become meaningless, how could Huang Lele not be angry? Yang Ming shrugged and said helplessly, "That's what I've always said before." Huang Lele recalled carefully, and it seemed that this was really the case. She pursed her lips and didn't know what to do. After a long time, she said, "What should I do now? What should I do?" Yang Ming looked at Huang Lele. This girl is really not ordinary. How to describe it? Yang Ming had no way to describe it. It was so silly that it was a little cute. "Do you like me?" asked Yang Ming. Like? Huang Lele thought about it and said, "A little." Then, "Do you mind if I have a girlfriend?" Yang Ming continued to ask. "It's okay. I don't know." Huang Lele thought about it again and shook her head. "Then, will you be my lover?" Yang Ming asked tentatively. "Okay." Huang Lele hesitated and didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it, so she nodded. Yang Ming never dreamed that one day he would pursue a girl like this, but for Huang Lele, this trick was really practical. However, Huang Lele immediately asked, "What do you do as a lover? Do you want to do what you did yesterday?" Yang Ming nodded. Huang Lele's next words shocked Yang Ming. "Can we not do it?" It was very painful. Although I felt good for a while, I still felt pain when I went home at night. Why don't you play Bubble Bobble with me in the future? Getting such a lover was enough to give Yang Ming a headache. Fortunately, Huang Lele was like a happy person. Her words made Yang Ming have a headache, but he felt that she was a little cute. "Okay." Yang Ming replied with a head full of black lines, but he was still a little uneasy about Huang Lele's stupidity, so he said, "Then, in the future, except for me, don't do that with others." "Do you think I'm stupid?" Huang Lele asked with a glare. Yang Ming said in his heart, "Aren't you stupid? But this was not easy to say. Since the identities of the two people had been revealed, Yang Ming did not have many taboos. His hand naturally hugged Huang Leilei's waist. Huang Leilei was not used to it at first. She moved her body and looked up at Yang Ming. But she thought that lovers should be closer, right? She no longer cared about Yang Ming. She reached out and turned on the computer monitor, wanting to continue playing her bubble bobble. On the screen was a bunch of private chat messages sent by Little Fox Fairy. They were all scolding Huang Leilei for finding someone to play for her. After scolding for a long time, there was no response from Huang Leilei. In the end, she was impatient and went offline. Huang Leilei saw that Little Fox Fairy was gone, and she lost interest. She flattened her mouth and returned to the QQ game hall. She looked for others to challenge, but this time, the people who played with her were almost the same level. Huang Leilei won and lost. Yang Ming only admired and liked Huang Leilei. Feelings couldn't be formed overnight, so Yang Ming's love for Huang Leilei was mostly shown on her body. It was undeniable that Huang Leilei's figure and appearance were top-notch. It was just that she was too simple. It was no wonder. She grew up in such a rich family and was spoiled. Everything was self-centered. Otherwise, she would not do stupid things and still be proud of herself. Right, Yang Ming suddenly remembered an important thing. He patted Huang Leilei's back and said, "Did you take the medicine after you went back yesterday?" "Take the medicine?" "What medicine?" Huang Leilei was surprised. "Birth control pills, stupid. Do you want to get pregnant?" Yang Ming whispered in Huang Leilei's ear. "Yeah, I forgot." Huang Leilei was shocked. "What do I do now? Can I get pregnant?" "It shouldn't be possible. It's not too late to eat now." Yang Ming was defeated by her. Huang Leilei really didn't understand anything. "Then hurry up and eat. I will ask Wang Mei to buy it." Huang Leilei had never bought this kind of thing, but she knew that Wang Mei must have bought it, so the first person she thought of was Wang Mei. This kind of thing, it's better not to let her know. Yang Ming shook his head. Is Huang Leilei really not afraid of others knowing? You wait. I will buy it. Okay. Huang Leilei nodded and continued to play the game heartlessly. Yang Ming glanced at Huang Leilei and got up to leave the room. He didn't go far, but he saw Wang Mei standing not far away. Yang Ming couldn't pretend to not see her. He had to say, "Wang Mei, why are you here?" "I met my boyfriend. He came here with his friends to play. He almost saw me with Zhang Bin." Wang Mei smiled bitterly and patted her chest. "I saw you and Leilei in the room. It wasn't good to go in and be a light bulb, so I just walked around outside." Chapter 826. Yang Ming listened to Wang Mei's words and couldn't help but shake his head. Yang Ming hated this kind of disloyal woman the most. No matter what, she couldn't cheat on her boyfriend. But thinking about it in reverse, wasn't he like this in the eyes of women? However, since ancient times, the custom was that men were superior to women. Men could have 3 wives and 4 concubines, but women couldn't. So many unequal things had become natural. Then what are you going to do? Yang Ming looked at Wang Mei and sighed. If you continue like this, it won't be a problem. You are Huang Leilei's friend, so I advise you to know your place. Wang Mei looked at Yang Ming with some depression. She lowered her head thoughtfully. Where is Zhang Bin? Asked Yang Ming. He is downstairs. He was playing roulette just now. Wang Mei said, fortunately, I was watching the horse race. Otherwise, something big would have happened. What does your boyfriend's family do? Asked Yang Ming. Although the matter between her and Zhang Bin was consensual, if she met an unreasonable and strong boyfriend, he might harm Zhang Bin after knowing about it. Therefore, Yang Ming paid attention to this matter for the sake of Zhang Bin's safety. It's an import and export trade. There is a big company in Macau. Wang Mei said, and she didn't avoid it. He is also a member of the upper class, but I don't have much feelings for him, for money. Yang Ming could only think of this. If I say no, then it is a bit hypocritical. Wang Mei smiled. A woman's youth is very short. Love and money often can't be had at the same time, Yang Ming nodded. What Wang Mei said was true, and her behavior was understandable in today's society. Yang Ming was not qualified to criticize her. Everyone had their own pursuit and outlook on life. Wang Mei suddenly thought of something and exclaimed, I have to call Zhang Bin and tell him. If he doesn't know the severity of the matter and calls my name in the casino, then it will be terrible. As Wang Mei said this, she opened her backpack and began to search for her mobile phone. Perhaps because she was anxious, the mobile phone was at the bottom. Wang Mei was so anxious that she directly poured the things in the bag on the windowsill. She finally found the mobile phone, and then she hurriedly dialed Zhang Bin's phone. The things in Wang Mei's bag could be said to be a variety of things, from cosmetics and sunscreen to women's pads. Yang Ming suddenly found something that he was going to buy, Leavenworth gestural tablets. After hanging up the phone, Wang Mei exhaled. It was really thrilling. As she was about to pack up the things in the bag, Yang Ming picked up a small box and said to her, Can you give this to me? Give it to you. Wang Mei was stunned. She saw the words on the small box. She suddenly looked at Yang Ming with a strange look. You and Lele. Yang Ming smiled and did not answer. With Wang Lele's character, she would definitely tell Wang Mei about yesterday's matter. Since he decided to find Wang Lele to be his lover, he couldn't hide it from her. No way. When did you two? Wang Mei was a bit puzzled. Just now. So fast. Yang Ming didn't want to discuss this topic with Wang Mei. He was looking for a reason to change the topic, but he saw Zhang Bin running over here. Zhang Bin is here. I will go back first. You talk to him. Yang Ming pointed behind Wang Mei and smiled. Wang Mei was shocked. She subconsciously began to look around. When she saw Zhang Bin, she said with some annoyance, How did you come up? Do you want to kill me? Unbeknownst to him, she had a guilty conscience. Just now, when she was standing with Yang Ming, she talked for a long time without feeling anything wrong. However, as soon as Zhang Bin appeared, she began to feel uncomfortable. What are you afraid of? At most, we will break up. Zhang Bin said indifferently. Break up? Are you going to support me after we break up? Wang Mei glared at Zhang Bin. She didn't know if Zhang Bin was joking or what, but he actually said, okay. Yang Ming glanced at Zhang Bin. He didn't know what he was thinking. He shook his head and ignored the two of them flirting. He turned and walked to Huang Lele's room. After entering the room, he closed the door. Huang Lele just looked up at Yang Ming and then buried her head to play the game in her hand. Here, eat it. Yang Ming handed the medicine box to Huang Lele. So fast. Huang Lele looked at the time on the computer and was surprised. There were big hotels and casinos nearby, and there were no pharmacies. Yang Ming bought the medicine so quickly, which made Huang Lele a little surprised. It's for Wang Mei. I saw that she had it in her bag, so I took it. Yang Ming found a bottle of mineral water for Huang Lele, opened the lid and put it on the computer table in front of her. Wang Mei opened the medicine box and took the medicine. Then she said, Oh, she knows about us. Probably. Yang Ming nodded. Are you hungry? Let's go and eat something. My treat. Hey, you are finally willing to treat me to a meal. Huang Lele looked up and looked at Yang Ming with a smile. Isn't it different now? Yang Ming was a little embarrassed by Huang Lele. Huang Lele turned off the computer, stood up, stretched and said, I choose the place. Of course, no problem. Yang Ming smiled and nodded. After a morning of contact, Yang Ming found that he already liked Huang Lele's heartless character. It was really rare for a girl to be so pure. Huang Lele put on a beige trench coat and then looked in the mirror. She felt quite satisfied, so she went out of the room with Yang Ming. Yang Ming gently pulled Huang Lele's hand. Huang Lele's body trembled, but she obediently let Yang Ming hold her hand. However, Yang Ming could feel that Huang Lele's palm had a layer of sweat. It was probably the first time this little girl was held by a man, right? Hey, Yang Ming, do you think we are dating? Huang Lele hesitated and said to Yang Ming. Yes. Yang Ming nodded. Oh, so this is dating. Huang Lele nodded thoughtfully. It's okay. I feel quite happy. When they went out and didn't see Zhang Bin, they were puzzled. However, they heard Zhang Bin's low voice, Bro, here. Yang Ming turned his head and saw Wang Mei and Zhang Bin hiding behind a screen in the corridor. He couldn't help but be amused. There was nothing to worry about in the world. If you stood there openly, it wouldn't make people feel anything. If you were to hide behind the screen, it would be difficult for people to not associate some dirty things. You too. Yang Ming was dumbfounded as he pointed at Zhang Bin. It's fine to stand together as ordinary friends. The more you hide, the more trouble you will have. Zhang Bin scratched his head. After listening to Yang Ming's words, he felt that it was true. He couldn't help but laugh. Let's go. Let's go out and eat. Yang Ming said to Zhang Bin and Wang Mei. Can't we eat here? Wang Mei was stunned. She looked at Yang Ming and Huang Lele strangely. Is there a restaurant here? Yang Ming was also stunned and turned to look at Huang Lele. Huang Lele's face was red. Even if there was a restaurant here, she didn't want to eat here. She was still annoyed that Yang Ming broke his promise before. Now that there was a chance, how could she let it go easily? The food here is not delicious. I don't like to eat. Huang Lele blushed and found an excuse. If the chef here heard it, wouldn't he be mad? This was the standard of a 5-star restaurant. Huang Lele actually said that it was not delicious. However, even if they knew, they couldn't do anything. Who let Huang Lele be the miss? Wang Mei opened her mouth and wanted to say something. She vaguely guessed what Huang Lele was thinking, so she said, Okay, then let's go out and eat, but let's go through the back door. I'm afraid of being seen. In fact, it's nothing. Just say that Zhang Bin and I are Lele's friends. Yang Ming followed Huang Lele to the back door. This car can't fit all of us, right? Yang Ming pointed to the Porsche Boxster in the parking lot. And there are other cars. I will ask someone to drive it. Huang Lele nodded and took out her mobile phone and started to make a call. After a while, a Toyota Previvia commercial car drove over. The driver opened the door and got off. He respectfully said to Huang Lele, Miss, do you want to drive yourself or should I drive? You go ahead. Just leave the car here. Huang Lele didn't like outsiders. Okay. The driver got out of the car and quickly left. Who's driving? Huang Lele turned and asked Yang Ming and Zhang Bin. I'll drive. Zhang Bin volunteered. He hadn't driven a right-hand car yet, and he wanted to try it out. Can you do it? The traffic rules here are different from the mainland. don't make any mistakes. Yang Ming was a little worried, but Yang Ming had driven a right-hand car during training. No problem, Zhang Bin said indifferently. In this way, Wang Mei and Zhang Bin sat in the front, and Yang Ming and Huang Lele sat in the back. Yang Ming had never been very interested in Japanese cars, but he had to admit that this Toyota commercial car was still very good. In the beginning, Zhang Bin was still not used to driving a right-hand car. After all, it was not easy to master, but he slowly got the hang of it. On the road, it was the same as driving in Songjiang. Wang Mei's boyfriend, Lu Jihao, accompanied several clients of the company to the casino today to improve each other's relationship. At noon, there was a client from Hong Kong who wanted to eat at the Newport restaurant in Macau. Although the casino also had similar food, Lu Jihao, of course, focused on the client's request. Lu Jihao just came to the parking lot with the guests, but he caught a glimpse of a Toyota commercial car passing by in front of him. Sitting in the passenger seat was his girlfriend, Wang Mei. Chapter 827. In fact, Lu Jihao didn't associate anything bad. The casino here was opened by Huang Lele's family, and Wang Mei and Huang Lele were good friends, so it wasn't strange for Wang Mei to come out here. Although the driver was a strange man, there was nothing to be suspicious about. Lu Jihao took out his mobile phone and called Wang Mei. Looking at the caller ID on the phone, Wang Mei was shocked. She glanced at Zhang Bin in a panic. What's wrong? Why don't you answer the phone? Zhang Bin found it strange when he saw Wang Mei holding the phone and not answering. My boyfriend. Wang Mei whispered. Zhang Bin looked at the phone in Wang Mei's hand and said, Do you want me to answer it? Why are you answering it? Wang Mei was shocked and quickly said, Don't make a sound. I will answer it. Mei, where are you? Lu Jihao called for a long time and saw that no one answered. He was about to hang up the phone, but the call was connected. I am with Lele. Wang Mei looked at Zhang Bin and said. Oh, just the two of you? Lu Jihao asked tentatively. Yeah, I am at Lele's house. How could Wang Mei dare to say that there was someone else? Really? Lu Jihao was stunned. He hesitated and said, Oh, then that's it. I am accompanying the guest. After that, he hung up the phone. Lu Jihao frowned. Did I just see it wrong? But it's impossible. My eyesight isn't that bad. Others can be wrong, but can my girlfriend be wrong? Obviously, I am in the car. How can I say that I am at Huang Lele's house? What's there to lie about? Could it be that I want to hide something? Originally, Lu Jihao didn't think so much, but now he began to be suspicious. It's over. He seems to have some doubts. Wang Mei said with some worry after she turned off the phone. Did he see us? Zhang Bin guessed. Ah. Wang Mei was shocked and lost her voice. It must be like this. This is bad. What should we do? You shouldn't have lied to him. What's wrong with being with a friend? Yang Ming also heard the conversation between Wang Mei and Zhang Bin. I was subconsciously nervous. Wang Mei said with a bitter face, but it's too late to say anything now. I hope he doesn't suspect anything. Under the guidance of Huang Lele, Zhang Bin drove to a shop called Dolly Lai Ji Coffee House. It was a very simple shop. Yang Ming didn't expect that a lady like Huang Lele would have a hobby of eating roadside stalls. However, after listening to Wang Mei's introduction, Yang Ming realized how famous this seemingly small coffee house was. It had even become a landmark in Macau. Many native Macau people would habitually come here to drink a cup of coffee and eat a pork chop bun in their spare time. Huang Lele found a table and sat down first. She ordered 4 cups of coffee and 4 pork chop buns. Because the pork chop buns were made on time at 3:00 in the afternoon every day, and it was only 2:00 now, they had to wait for a while before they could eat it. Do you often come here to eat? Yang Ming took a sip of the coffee that was served first. The taste was really good. Yeah, every time I take a break, I come here with Wang Mei. Huang Lele nodded. I like to eat the pork chop buns here the most. I learned how to make it myself, but I can't make it taste like that. Yang Ming smiled. This was natural. This kind of shop relied on these delicious dishes to attract customers. If it could be made normally, there would not be so many people patronizing. Looking at Zhang Bin and Wang Mei on the opposite side, the two of them were still making small movements in this situation. They were stepping on their feet and scratching their palms. Yang Ming couldn't help but be angry and amused. They are really not afraid of death. They are already suspected, and they still dare to play like this. Not long after, there were more people here. It seemed that they all came for the pork chop buns that were freshly made at 3:00. After a while, the pork chop buns were served. Because there were so many people, the waiter was probably anxious. When he served the pork chop buns, he accidentally spilled the half cup of coffee that Zhang Bin hadn't finished drinking. Fortunately, it didn't get on him. After the waiter apologized, he brought a new cup of coffee to Zhang Bin. Why didn't he spill mine, and then give me a new cup? Huang Lele shook the cup with only 1 cup of coffee left in her hand. She looked at Zhang Bin's cup full of coffee with some envy. After the 3 people heard it, they all laughed. Huang Lele was really cute. With her family background, how could she care about a cup of coffee? Zhang Bin pushed the cup of coffee in front of Huang Lele. You can have it. I don't want to drink it. I want to eat the pork chop buns. I still want another cup. Huang Lele was a little embarrassed and declined. Just drink it. He is a carnivore. Yang Ming smiled and took the coffee back to Huang Lele. Only then did Huang Lele pick it up and take a sip happily. The pork chop buns here were really delicious. It was delicious. Huang Lele and Wang Mei's appetite was relatively small. They couldn't eat any more after eating one. Zhang Bin and Yang Ming asked for 8 more in one go, which was equivalent to eating 5 per person. When they checked out, they found that the things here were really not expensive. The 4 of them spent less than 200 patakas. Because Wang Mei had something in her heart, she didn't go anywhere else after eating. Huang Lele wanted to go out with her second brother, so Yang Ming and Zhang Bin sent them back to the Huawei casino. During this time, Shu Ye sent a short message to Yang Ming, asking Yang Ming if he had time tonight. Yang Ming naturally replied that he had time. Shu Ye said that she would look at the situation after the concert and try to get away as much as possible. Back at the hotel, Zhang Bin was lying in bed with some melancholy. Yang Ming watched TV for a while and found that Zhang Bin was still silent. He asked with some surprise, "What happened to you?" Zhang Bin sighed and sat up in confusion. He said after a while, "Bro, I fell in love with Wang Mei." "What?" Yang Ming was stunned. He didn't understand. "You fell in love with Wang Mei? What do you mean?" "It was when I realized that I had feelings for her, and they were very strong. It was like love at first sight." Zhang Bing held his head with both hands and said helplessly, "Are you kidding?" Yang Ming looked at Zhang Bin with some surprise. Zhang Bin didn't seem to be such an irrational person. "What about Zhao Cixi?" "I don't know, but there are 2 ways of liking." Zhang Bin shook his head and said, "Zhao Cixi is more like a family member to me. She is plain and indispensable, but I can't find the passion. Wang Mei and I are different." Yang Ming waved his hand and stopped Zhang Bin from talking. Instead, he asked, "What are you going to do?" "What else can I do? I just don't know what to do, so I am distressed." Just now, I hoped that Wang Mei and her boyfriend would quarrel and break up. Then, would have a chance. Zhang Bin smiled bitterly. "Does Wang Mei know your feelings for her?" Yang Ming asked. This was the key. "I don't know." Zhang Bin still shook his head. "Bro, what should I do?" "You're asking me." Yang Ming looked at Zhang Bin and suddenly laughed. Zhang Bin was inexplicable by Yang Ming's laughter. He said with some surprise, "Bro, what are you laughing at? If you ask me, the answer is very simple. That is, you accept it all." Yang Ming smiled. "Yeah." Zhang Bin slapped his thigh. "Why didn't I think of it? It's just like that. Today in the corridor of the casino, I talked to Wang Mei. She and her boyfriend have no feelings. They are together mainly for a woman's vanity. After all, her boyfriend's family is very rich, but you are not bad. It is good to let her follow you." Yang Ming analyzed, "It's just that Wang Mei's character is really. You have to at least determine if she loves you, or else you will be cuckolded in the future." Zhang Bin nodded and didn't say anything, but Yang Ming believed that he must have thought so. Since Wang Mei could betray her boyfriend and be with Zhang Bin, how could he guarantee that she wouldn't betray Zhang Bin in the future? However, Yang Ming didn't say anything. Zhang Bin would also know this. It depended on how he decided. No matter what he thought, Yang Ming would support him. After all, this was a personal matter. Yang Ming wouldn't interfere too much. At 8:00 in the evening, Zhang Bin received a call from Wang Mei, asking him to go out and meet her. It could be heard that Wang Mei's voice had a sobbing tone. Zhang Bin was sleeping. When he answered the phone, he began to put on his clothes without saying anything. "Go out. Do you want me to go with you?" Yang Ming was afraid that Zhang Bin would cause some trouble. "No need. I will deal with this kind of thing myself." Zhang Bin shook his head. "I can go by myself." "Then you be careful. I guess that your matter has been discovered by Wang Mei's boyfriend." Yang Ming said, "If there is any trouble, call me immediately." "I got it, bro, don't worry." Zhang Bin patted his chest confidently. Yang Ming had nothing to do here, but something happened at home. When he received a call from Yang Li, Yang Ming was watching TV. "Big sister, what's the matter?" Yang Ming was surprised that Yang Li suddenly called him. Although his relationship with Yang Li had eased, and it wasn't as tit-for-tat as before, Yang Li was studying in another city. She didn't have much interaction with Yang Ming. "Big Ming, something happened to me and my dad." Although Yang Li said so, she wasn't very anxious. She thought that things weren't particularly serious. "What happened?" asked Yang Ming. "Didn't second uncle, who is your dad's company, start some heavy engineering equipment projects under my dad's suggestion? My dad and I went to the engineering company in Phoenix City to discuss business, but we were stopped by another local engineering equipment factory. Yang Li said, they threatened us not to sell our company's products in Phoenix City. Otherwise, we would have to bear the consequences." Originally, it was better to call Yang Ming for this matter, but since the kidnapping incident, Yang Li had an inexplicable trust in Yang Ming. When something happened, the first thing she thought of was to call her brother. "Oh. Are you all right?" asked Yang Ming. Chapter 828. They are fine. They just threatened us. They didn't dare to do anything to us. Yang Li said. "That's fine. You can come back first. I am in Macau now. I will talk about other things when I go back." Yang Ming told Yang Li, "Oh, that's fine. Then we will go back first." Yang Li listened to Yang Ming's words and quickly agreed. Hanging up the phone, Yang Ming fell into contemplation. The problem that Yang Li mentioned seemed to be a small matter, but it was a big problem. The sales target of this kind of engineering equipment was not to the public like cars, but to a fixed target. The company or institution that purchased these things in each city was fixed. As a result, an important problem was local monopoly. The threshold for the manufacturing of engineering machinery was not high, and many parts could be imported. As long as the assembly technology passed, engineering equipment such as trenchers, bulldozers and other engineering equipment could be produced. Many small local engineering enterprises could produce. Although these enterprises did not have the strength of Mingyang heavy industry, they had deep backgrounds and relationships in the local area, so it was impossible to ignore Mingyang heavy industry snatching their business. A warning was considered light. If they encountered someone with an underworld background, it was possible to beat them back. However, it was not that there was no solution. It depended on the individual's means. But in any case, Yang Ming had to go back and make a decision. After all, it involved some gray fights. His father, Yang Dahai, and his uncle, Yang Dashin, were not good at this. If Bao Sanli were to deal with it, he might make a big deal out of it and bring a group of people to kill them. So Yang Ming chose to let them give in temporarily. Zhang Bin received a call from Wang Mei and quickly rushed to the place Wang Mei said. This was a coffee shop, but the location was a bit remote. The shop was not bad, and the interior decoration was also very elegant. Zhang Bin walked into the coffee shop quickly. At the moment, there were not many people in the coffee shop. Zhang Bin saw Wang Mei wearing sunglasses at a glance, but he could not help but be stunned when he saw a man next to her. A thin and tall man in his 30s, wearing a black suit, sat there with a gloomy expression. Wang Mei lowered her head, not daring to look at Zhang Bin. When Zhang Bin saw the situation in front of him, he vaguely guessed something. He quickly walked to the card table and sat down. You are Zhang Bin? The lanky man asked in a condescending tone to Zhang Bin. Although Zhang Bin had seduced the man's girlfriend, he didn't feel that he was in the wrong. She was his girlfriend. Since they were not married, it meant that there was no legal relationship between them. She looked up at the man in front of her, who was Lu Jihao, and asked with some disgust, "Who are you?" "Ha, brat, your words are quite blunt." Lu Jihao sneered at Zhang Bin and said softly. "If you have something to say, just say it. I don't have much time." Zhang Bin often hung out with Yang Ming, so he became calmer and not as impulsive as before. "Well, since you have this attitude, we don't need to talk about it." Lu Jihao raised his eyebrows and said coldly, "I think you have already guessed who I am. Now that you are on my girlfriend, how are we going to settle this?" "Ha, why are you so funny? You said it yourself. She is your girlfriend, but she is not your wife." Zhang Bin smiled with some contempt. "Humph, do you think I can still want this kind of trash?" Lu Jihao snorted. "Since you like her so much, then I will give her to you." "Oh. That's good. Thank you very much." After listening to Lu Jihao's words, Zhang Bin was suddenly inexplicable, but what he said was a good thing for Zhang Bin. Don't be too happy too early. There are still accounts to be settled. Lu Jihao smiled. "What accounts?" asked Zhang Bin. "Now, Wang Mei is your woman, right?" asked Lu Jihao. "So what?" Zhang Bin still didn't quite understand Lu Jihao's meaning. "That's fine. Wang Mei was with me for 2 years. The money I spent on her in these 2 years was spent on you. Don't you think I have to get the money back?" Lu Jihao finally said his purpose. Zhang Bin was stunned and immediately understood. Lu Jihao wanted to extort a sum of money from him, and the previous words were just excuses. Of course, you cannot give the money, but the consequences of not paying back the debt are very serious, tsk tisk. Lu Jihao waved his hand, and two black-shirt macho men immediately stood up from a table not far behind him and walked over. Lu Jihao pointed at them and said, I have spent tens of millions on Wang Mei in the past 2 years. I just owe them 10 million, so I will transfer it to you. Oh right, I forgot to mention, these two are loan sharks. You're from the mainland, right? You don't want anything to happen to you in Macau, right? 10 million. When Zhang Bin heard this number, an angry expression suddenly appeared on his face. 10 million in 2 years. Who are you kidding? Why? You don't believe it? Then you can ask Wang Mei yourself. Lu Jihao had a look of confidence as he pointed to Wang Mei next to him. What happened? Zhang Bin looked up at Wang Mei. My mother was sick before, so I borrowed from loan sharks. Later, the interest compound. Lu Jihao helped me settle it. Wang Mei explained while trembling. When Zhang Bin heard Wang Mei's words, he knew what was going on. It is loan sharks again. It seems that this Lu Jihao and these two loan sharks are likely to be in cahoots. He found them to scare me and take some money from me. Did she borrow money from both of you? Zhang Bin looked up at the two black-shirt macho men and said with ridicule. The two macho men's faces suddenly turned red. It seemed that Zhang Bin hit the nail on the head. Don't say those useless things. Lu Jihao waved his hand and said, take out the money. You take her away. Do you think I can take out 10 million? Zhang Bin looked at Lu Jihao as if he was looking at a fool. Zhang Bin's family was indeed rich, but Zhang Bin's total was only tens of millions. Don't you have a friend? Didn't he hook up with a little rich woman? You can borrow from him. The little rich woman Lu Jihao was referring to was naturally Huang Lele. After listening to this, Zhang Bin suddenly stared at Wang Mei with some anger. Why did Wang Mei tell everything to Lu Jihao? Make a call. Just say that you owe a loan shark. Let him pay you back. Lu Jihao didn't care about Zhang Bin's expression and said proudly. Are you sure you want me to make a call? Zhang Bin knew Yang Ming's temper very well. If he really called Yang Ming, forget about paying the money, the three people in front of him wouldn't be able to walk out of here in one piece. If he was in Songjiang, Zhang Bin would definitely be very thick-skinned and call Yang Ming. As Yang Ming's underling, Zhang Bin didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. It was natural to let Yang Ming clean up his mess. But in Macau, he was unfamiliar with the people and the place. Zhang Bin didn't want to add any trouble to Yang Ming. The two people in front of him were loan sharks. They obviously didn't look like good people. Maybe they had a relationship with the local gangs. It would be troublesome to provoke these people. Don't talk nonsense. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. Lu Jihao didn't hide his threat. Zhang Bin hesitated. A wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. Zhang Bin asked himself that he was definitely not the opponent of these two macho men. If he didn't make this call today, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to get out of this alive. However, because this matter would drag Yang Ming into it, Zhang Bin didn't want to do this. You don't want to call, right? Then you call. Lu Jihao threw his phone in front of Wang Mei. Wang Mei lowered her head and didn't speak. She didn't pick up the phone that Lu Jihao handed over. I asked you to make a call. Didn't you hear it? Lu Jihao shouted. I don't want to call. Wang Mei shook her head. Pa! A loud slap was thrown over, and the sunglasses on Wang Mei's face were knocked away. Lu Jihao said furiously, do you believe that I will kill you? At this time, Zhang Bin saw that Wang Mei's originally delicate face was bruised everywhere. Because of the sunglasses, and Wang Mei had been lowering her head, he didn't notice it. What happened to you? Did he hit you? Zhang Bin was shocked. Originally, he complained that Wang Mei told everything to Lu Jihao. Now, he only sympathized with her. Wang Mei pursed her lips and didn't speak, but her expression had already acquiesced. Fuck your mother. Zhang Bin slammed the table and pointed at Lu Jihao. You hit a woman. Are you still a man? Why? Are you distressed? Lu Jihao curled his lips indifferently. If you are distressed, quickly take the money. You can hurt as much as you want when you go home. It has nothing to do with me. Lu Jihao's business wasn't very smooth recently, and he had lost a lot of money. He wasn't the only son at home. He had a younger brother, so if he didn't fill in the losses as soon as possible, it was likely that his younger brother would use it as an excuse to attack him and let him leave the company's core. His mood was already bad, and Wang Mei happened to hit the muzzle. Originally, Lu Jihao didn't doubt Wang Mei. He just said that he saw her in the parking lot of the casino and asked why she lied to him. However, Lu Jihao's face wasn't very good. Wang Mei, coupled with her nervousness, thought that Lu Jihao knew something. She didn't explain it clearly for a long time. At this time, Lu Jihao's suspicion was even greater. He questioned a few more words and found that Wang Mei's words were full of flaws. Under his bluff and deception, he finally figured out that Wang Mei actually had an ulterior motive. How could this be? Lu Jihao was already in a bad mood, and his girlfriend did this kind of thing. He was so angry that he punched and kicked her, forcing her to ask about her lover's situation. Originally, Wang Mei didn't want to say it, but she couldn't withstand Lu Jihao's punches and kicks, so she said it all. Chapter 829. It was not that Lu Jihao had no feelings for Wang Mei. After all, they had been together for such a long time. However, Lu Jihao was a very narrow-minded person. He couldn't tolerate his girlfriend having an affair with others. Moreover, he was in a bad mood these days. He encountered a business failure, and he heard that the adulterer's friend had hooked up with Wang Lele. His heart immediately began to become active. How could Lu Jihao not know about Wang Lele's family? That was more than 100 times bigger than his own family business. He also had feelings for Wang Lele, but Wang Lele couldn't be interested in him at all. He didn't expect that the adulterer's friend was also good at hooking up with girls. After weighing it, he decided to use Wang Mei as an excuse to squeeze some money from them to make up for the previous deficit. Thinking about it, these two foreigners couldn't make any waves, and this matter was also Zhang Bin's fault, so Lu Jihao was not afraid. It could be said that Lu Jihao was a villain who liked to scheme. In order to get Wang Mei, he used some underhanded means. Those loan sharks were his friends, and they were also instructed by him behind the scenes. In fact, Wang Mei also vaguely guessed this. Although she had no love for Lu Jihao, because she could live a life of luxury with Lu Jihao, she accepted her fate. Later, she became a stewardess and met Wang Lele. She felt that her friends were all rich people. Wang Mei was afraid that Wang Lele and the others would look down on her after losing the current life of luxury. She did not dare to break up with Lu Jihao. Although Wang Mei had no feelings for him from beginning to end. In fact, Wang Mei was not as bad as Yang Ming imagined. Although she hooked up with Zhang Bin, it was also because she really had feelings for Zhang Bin. Zhang Bin's humor and care for her were something she had never gotten from Lu Jihao. Love came so suddenly that Wang Mei was a little dizzy for a while. Otherwise, Lu Jihao couldn't see the clues so quickly. Wang Mei didn't think about breaking up with Lu Jihao and then being with Zhang Bin. However, after knowing that Zhang Bin had a girlfriend, she changed her mind. Is it possible that Zhang Bin is with her? She probably only thought of him as a playmate. This time, she called Zhang Bin and asked him to come out to meet her. Wang Mei didn't expect him to stand up for her. But she didn't expect that Zhang Bin's reaction to Lu Jihao hitting her would be so fierce. Zhang Bin was extremely angry. His chest heaved up and down as he panted heavily. However, when he thought about how he couldn't cause trouble, he could only suppress his anger. He slowly sat down and said, 10 million, isn't your tone too big? Do you think Huang Lele will give me 10 million? Hey, I don't know if I will give it to you or not, but if your friend asks Huang Lele for it, it should be possible, right? Huang Lele's family doesn't need this 10 million. Lu Jihao saw that Zhang Bin's tone had loosened, and he was overjoyed. Moreover, this IOU is still in my hands. I tell you, now we have a good discussion. If you take out the money, we will be fine. Otherwise, I will sue you in court, and you won't be able to reason. If this kind of IOU written under the pressure of a loan shark really went to court, 80% of it would not have legal effect. However, Lu Jihao was sure that Zhang Bin, a foreigner, definitely did not understand the local laws of Macau, so he was not afraid that he would be exposed after cheating him. Although Zhang Bin knew that if this kind of thing was brought to the mainland court, the other party's chances of winning the lawsuit were very small, here, he really didn't know the corresponding legal provisions. It was basically unrealistic to ask him to take out 10 million. Zhang Bin didn't have so much money. But if he looked for Yang Ming, Zhang Bin still didn't know the true value of Yang Ming. Although he knew that Lu Weishan gave a lot of money to Yang Ming, the money was also invested in the new jewelry company. The cash on hand of Yang Ming should not be much. If he borrowed money from Yang Ming, Zhang Bin could naturally put down his face. After all, the relationship between the two was still there. However, if he asked Yang Ming to ask for money from Zhang Bin, this kind of thing could not be done. Have you thought about it? What do you want to do? Lu Jihao saw that Zhang Bin didn't speak, and he was impatient. He said with a gloomy face, I will give you two choices. One is to call your friend and let him find a way to get money. The second is that I hand you over to these people. I don't care how they deal with you. Lu Jihao pointed to the few big men around him who were loan sharks. Zhang Bin also had no way. He hesitated and decided to tell Yang Ming about it. No matter what, it was good to discuss it. I will go out and make a call. Zhang Bin said as he stood up and walked to the door. Watch him. Don't let this kid run away. Lu Jihao was afraid that Zhang Bin would use this as an excuse to escape. He didn't think that Wang Mei had any attraction to Zhang Bin. If it was just for Wang Mei, would Zhang Bin be willing to spend 10 million? Lu Jihao really didn't believe it. However, Zhang Bin really planned to do so. Otherwise, what did Wang Mei's life and death have to do with him? Zhang Bin came to the door. The four big men who collected loan sharks stood by and stared at Zhang Bin, fearing that he would run away. Zhang Bin dialed Yang Ming's phone number. It didn't take long for Yang Ming to answer. Bro, I am in trouble. Zhang Bin said straightforwardly. With his relationship with Yang Ming, there was no need to hide. What's wrong? Yang Ming was waiting for Shuya's call. He was lying in bed and watching TV. When he heard Zhang Bin's words, he was shocked. Wang Mei's boyfriend knows about our matter. He wants 10 million from me. I don't know what to do now. Zhang Bin said as he clenched his teeth. 10 million. Yang Ming was a little surprised by this price. He didn't expect Wang Mei's boyfriend to offer such a high price, but this money was nothing to Yang Ming. Bro. I know that I have troubled you, can you help me borrow some? I have been working for you all my life. Zhang Bin knew that Yang Ming was also in a difficult situation. He hesitated for a long time before he spoke. Work. Yang Ming was dumbfounded, but he found it strange that Zhang Bin was willing to spend 10 million for Wang Mei. Are you sure you want to give him 10 million? It was the loan sharks that Wang Mei owed. Her boyfriend paid it for her. Zhang Bin smiled bitterly. Although I don't know if there is anything fishy in this, my feelings for Wang Mei. Okay, you don't have to say it. Where are you? When Yang Ming heard this, he understood that what Zhang Bin said to him before wasn't just a casual remark, but he really fell for it. Although Yang Ming's impression of Wang Mei wasn't good, Zhang Bin liked her. He wouldn't interfere with anything. This time, Zhang Bin should really have feelings for her. Otherwise, he wouldn't do such an irrational thing. It seems that he isn't very rational, but wasn't I the same at the beginning? Because of Suya's departure, how many stupid things did I do? I spent a lot of money at the auction just to buy a similar ring. Although it was confirmed later that this ring was the one that I gave to Suya, I didn't know about it at the beginning, right? Zhang Bin set a location. Yang Ming hung up the phone and hurried over. When Yang Ming appeared in the coffee shop, Zhang Bin lowered his head embarrassedly, but Lu Jihao's eyes lit up. If Yang Ming could come over, it meant that there was an 80 to 90% chance. Otherwise, Yang Ming couldn't come over. Yang Ming sat calmly next to Zhang Bin and looked at Wang Mei, whose face was full of injuries. He couldn't help but frown. It was true that he didn't have a good impression of Wang Mei, but Yang Ming also hated people who hit women. He patted Zhang Bin's shoulder and signaled him to rest assured. Then he said to Lu Jihao on the opposite side, 10 million, right? After that, you have nothing to do with her, Wang Mei, right? Yes. Lu Jihao held back the excitement in his heart and nodded. He didn't expect that things would go so smoothly. Okay, then it's up to you. Yang Ming looked at Lu Jihao and said, is a check okay? Yes, yes. Lu Jihao couldn't help but be excited in his heart. He really wanted to shout twice. The company's deficit was only more than 6 million. This time, not only could he make up for the deficit, but he could also get a lot of income. He couldn't help but be a little smug. This Wang Lele is really willing to give up. She asked for 10 million and she gave it to me. Ha ha ha, brother, you are amazing. Wang Lele. Yang Ming was stunned, but he immediately guessed what he was saying, but he did not refute. In Yang Ming's view, it was a waste of cells to talk to this kind of person. Yang Ming took out a checkbook from his pocket, wrote down the amount, and then signed a strange name. This was a checkbook from the Union Bank of Switzerland. Yang Ming had an account there. Of course, it was not the main account. There were only a few $100 million on it. The account name was also a pseudonym, but it didn't matter. The bank only recognized the customer's exclusive checkbook and signature. Even the checkbook is given to you. So strong. Lu Jihao looked at Yang Ming in surprise and opened his mouth wide. He had always thought that Yang Ming's money came from Huang Lele. Yang Ming was too lazy to explain so much to him. He tore off the check and spread it on the table. It is from the Union Bank of Switzerland. There is a branch in Macau. You can call to confirm now. Lu Jihao was also a person in the business field. He still recognized the authenticity of the check. He made a phone call, and the other side gave a positive answer. Lu Jihao reached out and wanted to put the check into his pocket. Yang Ming was quick with his eyes and hands. He directly put his hand on the check. Where is the original IOU? IOU? What IOU? Lu Jihao wanted to act shamelessly and leave a trick behind. He would leave the IOU to see if there was any opportunity to extort in the future. He didn't expect Yang Ming to remember this. Chapter 830. I don't want to talk nonsense. Yang Ming said as he took the check back. Yang Ming's hand just took the check back. One of the four macho men behind Lu Jihao reached for his waist and seemed to want to take something out. He took it out and shouted, "Put it down." Yang Ming frowned. He didn't want to cause trouble. Since Zhang Bin really liked Wang Mei, and Wang Mei owed Lu Jihao money, then he would help them pay it back. However, he didn't want to cause trouble here, but Lu Jihao was playing tricks on him. There was a burst of disgust in his heart. Yang Ming's hand gently stretched forward. He had already taken the thing out of the macho man's waist. It turned out to be a three-edged knife. Yang Ming sneered and threw the knife in front of Lu Jihao. "It's best not to play tricks in front of me. When I came out, you didn't know what you were doing." Lu Jihao was shocked. He thought that Yang Ming and Zhang Bin were soft persimmons, but he didn't expect Yang Ming to have such skills. He could actually grab the knife from the macho man behind him. Listening to the tone of Yang Ming's words, it seemed that he was also in the underworld. He couldn't help but secretly click his tongue. It seems that this person is not easy to provoke. Lu Jihao was also afraid that there would be more problems, so he chose to stop while he was ahead. He awkwardly took out an IOU and said with a dry smile, "Hee, it's just a joke. We are all civilized people. There is no need to use knives and guns, that's the best." Yang Ming despised Lu Jihao's softness in his heart. He was too easily frightened, and his impression of Lu Jihao was even worse. After taking the IOU, Yang Ming glanced at it. After confirming that there was no problem, he directly tore it up and threw it into the juice in front of Zhang Bin. The handwriting on the IOU was soaked in the juice, and all of it became blurred. Coupled with the corrosion of the sticky juice, it was impossible to restore it. However, Zhang Bin was even more extreme. He picked up the cup and drank it directly. Yang Ming didn't know what to say. "Let's go," Yang Ming said and stood up. He turned to Zhang Bin and said, "Take her back to the hotel." Although Zhang Bin didn't say a word of thanks, Zhang Bin was already very grateful to Yang Ming. However, Zhang Bin knew that Yang Ming didn't need him to thank him. That would be too pretentious. Zhang Bin stood up silently and took Wang Mei's hand. Wang Mei trembled and stood together with Zhang Bin. She understood what it meant when Zhang Bin drank the drink with the IOU and held her hand. In fact, from the fact that Zhang Bin was willing to borrow 10 million yuan for her, she already knew Zhang Bin's intentions. Wang Mei suddenly had a very relaxed and liberated feeling. She didn't have to be a hypocrite in the future. With Zhang Bin, whether he was rich or poor, what did it matter? Wang Mei suddenly felt that she didn't care about anything. As long as she could be with this man, she was happy. Yang Ming didn't take 2 steps, but he turned around again and went straight to Lu Jihao's side. He picked up the tri-edged knife in front of him. "You, what are you doing?" Lu Jihao was shocked. He thought that Yang Ming had changed his mind and wanted to fight with him. "This knife is very good. Give it to me as a souvenir." Yang Ming patted Lu Jihao's shoulder and said, "Ah. Oh." Lu Jihao was stunned and nodded. "It's just a tri-edged knife. Just give it to him." Yang Ming took the knife and walked out of the coffee shop with Zhang Bin and Wang Mei. As soon as they went out, Yang Ming threw the tri-edged knife into the trash can not far away. "Bro, why did you throw that away?" Zhang Bin looked at Yang Ming strangely and didn't understand. "I lied to him. What do I need this broken knife for?" Yang Ming smiled and said, "It's just to confuse him." Zhang Bin didn't understand much, but he didn't ask. He just held Wang Mei's hand tightly and said to Yang Ming, "Bro, you can rest assured. I will find a way to return the money to you as soon as possible." "Money? That's not necessary." Yang Ming waved his hand and took out a piece of paper from his pocket and handed it to Zhang Bin. Zhang Bin took the paper and opened it. It was actually the check that Yang Ming had just signed. He couldn't help but be surprised. Bro, what's going on? Didn't you give it to him? I originally wanted to give it to him, but he was so greedy that he wanted to play tricks, so I simply didn't give it to him. Yang Ming said with a smile, when I asked him for the tri-edged knife, I took it back. Damn! Zhang Bin shouted excitedly after listening, bro, you're too badass. This works too. I thought I would be a slave in the future. Even if I gave it to him, he wouldn't ask you to return it. Yang Ming shook his head indifferently, then he stopped a taxi and said, let's go. That guy will find out in a while. The three people got into the taxi together. Yang Ming sat in the front row, and Zhang Bin and Wang Mei sat in the back row. Back at the hotel, Zhang Bin booked another room, which was opposite Yang Ming's original room. You apply some medicine to her first. You all come to my room in a while. Yang Ming glanced at Wang Mei and instructed. Okay, bro. Zhang Bin nodded and took Wang Mei into the room. He had just bought some medicine downstairs. Zhang Bin applied the medicine to Wang Mei. Wang Mei wore sunglasses again, so it wasn't obvious. Zhang Bin, you seem to be afraid of Yang Ming. Wang Mei asked, baffled. I'm not afraid, but I do admire and respect him. Zhang Bin said sincerely, if we were to talk about bro's speed of development, no one can compare to him. Wang Mei nodded. She knew that from now on, she would be integrated into Zhang Bin's circle. The two of them came to Yang Ming's room together. Yang Ming was reading the local newspaper. When he saw the two of them come in, he put the newspaper aside and signaled them to sit down and talk. Let's talk about it. What are you going to do in the future? Yang Ming looked at Zhang Bin and Wang Mei. In the future. Zhang Bin really didn't think about what to do in the future. After being impulsive, it brought a lot of trouble. Zhang Bin's mind calmed down at this moment. If he brought Wang Mei back, not to mention Zhao Sisi, even his father, Zhang Jifang, wouldn't let her go. Although Zhang Jifang wasn't a conservative, he wouldn't allow Zhang Bin to casually bring a woman home. It was fine to play outside and socialize, but if he really brought her back, he would definitely be the first to disagree. What about you? Yang Ming looked up at Wang Mei again. I don't know. Wang Mei lowered her head. She didn't know why, but she suddenly felt that she became very cautious and oppressed in front of Yang Ming. Yang Ming seemed to have a condescending feeling, like an elder. Then I will arrange it for you. You can bring your family to Songjiang. You don't have to work as a stewardess, or I can find someone to change the route for you. Don't fly to Macau. Is that okay? Yang Ming seemed to be asking for Wang Mei's opinion, but in fact, his tone was unquestionable. Wang Mei didn't have her own opinion at the moment. She didn't have any opinion about Yang Ming's arrangement. She also knew that Lu Jihao wasn't a good person. If she still flew to Macau, she might meet him again. At that time, it might cause some trouble. Then, you can keep the check. Yang Ming turned to Zhang Bin and said, first, buy a house in Songjiang and settle her down. Then, we will slowly study later. Ah. How can this be? Zhang Bin shook his head subconsciously. Although he didn't know where the money came from, he thought that it was definitely not Yang Ming's own money. How could he let Yang Ming owe others money for him? What's more, he didn't need this money to buy a house at all. Buying a small house with more than 40 square meters in Songjiang was about 400,000 yuan. He could still take out this money. Don't worry. The money was not borrowed from Lele. It was my own money. Yang Ming saw Zhang Bin's thoughts and comforted him with a smile. There are some things that I will find time to tell you. Let's settle the matter in front of us first. Wang Mei was a little shocked when she heard it. It seems that I really underestimated Yang Ming. Yang Ming's net worth didn't seem to be under Huang Lele, or even more. Huang Lele couldn't just throw out 10 million yuan casually, but Yang Ming didn't seem to care about it at all. However, Yang Ming was so badass. Zhang Bin, as his underling, shouldn't be bad. At least, Zhang Bin had a bright future. It was 100 times better than following Lu Jihao. The most important thing was that the feeling of being with Zhang Bin was something that Lu Jihao couldn't give. Well, you shouldn't go out in these 2 days, so as to avoid new problems. Yang Ming told Wang Mei. Walking out of the room, Wang Mei breathed a sigh of relief and whispered to Zhang Bin, "Is your boss very powerful in Songjiang?" Although Zhang Bin didn't know the true identity of Yang Ming, from the people who Yang Ming usually contacted, he could know how good Yang Ming was now. It was no exaggeration to say, boss is very low-key here. In Songjiang, probably no one dares to talk to him like this. Of course, except for me and his father, ha ha ha, and several of his girlfriends, Zhang Bing boasted as he laughed out loud. Wang Mei snorted. However, wasn't Zhang Bin telling the truth? Yang Ming was just the young master of Mingyang heavy industry. No one dared to underestimate him. Besides, Lu Jihao was happy that he had made an unexpected fortune. When he returned to the company, he wanted to cash the check immediately, but when he touched his jacket pocket, he found that the check was gone. Lu Jihao was shocked. This wasn't a joke. How could the check be gone? He took off his coat and flipped it around until it was torn, but he still couldn't find it. Chapter 831. Where's the check? Did you see it? Lu Jihao asked the 4 men beside him. These 4 men were the ones who had just collected the loan sharks. On the surface, they seemed to have nothing to do with Lu Jihao, but in fact, these 4 men were all Lu Jihao's subordinates. They usually did business with the bank and helped Lu Jihao obtain some private money. "Brother Hao, didn't you keep the check in your pocket?" said one of the macho men. "Of course, I know, but now it's gone." Lu Jihao frowned and said anxiously, "That's 10 million yuan. Then, could it be left in the coffee shop?" Another macho man reminded. "No, I remember that I put it in my pocket." Lu Jihao shook his head. "I also remember that Brother Hao put it in his pocket," said the macho man who spoke before. "Then how could it be gone?" Lu Jihao began to think hard, but there was no place where he could lose the check. Coming out of the coffee shop, he was surrounded by his own people. Then he got in the car and went all the way back to the company. There was no place where he could lose the check. "Brother Hao, why don't you call that bastard again and ask him to write a new check for you?" a macho man suddenly suggested. "Yeah." Lu Jihao slammed the table and said, "This is a good idea." As Lu Jihao said this, he took out his mobile phone and dialed Wang Mei's phone. But in less than 2 seconds, his face that was full of hope suddenly showed a disappointed expression. He slammed the phone and scolded, "Damn, smelly woman, she actually turned off her phone. The phone number of her lover, Brother Hao, didn't you also save it?" The macho man quickly reminded him after listening. After Lu Jihao listened, he quickly picked up the phone again and dialed Zhang Bin's phone number. When Wang Mei called before, Lu Jihao secretly saved it. When the phone was turned off again, Lu Jihao was completely desperate. However, it was normal when he thought about it. The other party definitely didn't want to have anything to do with him anymore. It was reasonable for her to turn off the phone. It was just that. Lu Jihao was really unwilling. That was 10 million yuan. Not only could it make up for the loss of his business, but it could also accumulate a sum of money for his little treasury. As he was thinking about what to do, Lu Jihao's phone suddenly rang. Lu Jihao was shocked. He thought that it was Wang Mei and the others who called. He quickly picked up the phone. Unfortunately, it was an unfamiliar number. Hello? Who are you looking for? Lu Jihao reluctantly answered the phone. Is this Brother Lu? The person who spoke was a somewhat hoarse male voice. I am. Who are you? Lu Jihao was not familiar with this voice. Now that he was in a bad mood, his attitude was even worse. I'm Ouyang Junwei. Why, Brother Lu, don't you remember me? The man on the other side introduced himself. Lu Jihao was stunned at first, then immediately remembered who the other party was. Ouyang Junwei, the helmsman of a very powerful company in the mainland's province P. He had business dealings with Yang Junwei, and they were all big deals. Yang Junwei had made a lot of money. Moreover, the Ouyang family also controlled the underground forces of province P. Even when they were drinking, Ouyang Junwei inadvertently revealed that his old man was abroad, and he still had contact with an assassin organization. How could Lu Jihao not maintain a good relationship with such a powerful person? Thinking of this, Lu Jihao's face was suddenly full of smiles. Big brother Ouyang, it turned out to be you. Sorry for the neglect. It's fine. I changed my number. It is normal that you don't know it's me. Ouyang Junwei said with a smile, Brother Lu, I'm afraid I have to ask for your help this time. Help? Lu Jihao was stunned. With Ouyang Junwei's strength, does he still need my help? However, since he has a favor to ask of me, it can't be better. As long as he brings me a big deal after this, it will be great. Lu Jihao said quickly, as long as big brother Ouyang needs something from me, just say it. This is the case. I am now in Macau. Are you free? Let's meet and talk. Said Ouyang Junwei. Oh. You are in Macau now. Lu Jihao said after listening, where are you? I will come to you right away. I am staying at the Ao Hotel. Call me when you arrive. I will go downstairs, said Ouyang Junwei. Okay, no problem. Lu Jihao promised. Although he was troubled by the inexplicable disappearance of the check, he couldn't ignore other things just because the check was lost. That would be putting the cart before the horse. Every time Ouyang Junwei contacted Lu Jihao, he could send a lot of money to Lu Jihao. Although it wasn't as much as 10 million, it was always in the millions, so Lu Jihao didn't dare to neglect him. In other words, Ouyang Junwei came to Macau this time for Yang Ming. Ouyang Junwei always remembered his brother's broken finger and waited for the opportunity to retaliate against Yang Ming. During this time, Ouyang Junwei had found some of Yang Ming's background through his own channels. These backgrounds were amazing. The son-in-law of Dong Hai's Sun family also had great power in Songjiang. He had a close relationship with Songjiang's local tyrant, Bao Sanli, and Ho Jinhan. It could be said that if he sent someone to Songjiang to find Yang Ming, it was likely that he wouldn't be able to return. This was the same as others wanting to attack the Ouyang family in the territory of Province P. It was simply nonsense. Therefore, Ouyang Junwei had been waiting for a suitable opportunity. Now, the opportunity had come. Yang Ming actually went to Macau. If he didn't make a move now, when would he? Yang Ming went to Macau through the normal channels, so it couldn't be hidden from the eyes of people like Ouyang Junwei. As long as there was a relationship in the airline, it could be found. Moreover, the airline's network was connected to the internet, and it could be checked in Province P. Ouyang Junwei had already greeted his acquaintances in the company and asked them to pay attention to the flight records of a person named Yang Ming. Although there were several people with the same name before, the departure place was not Songjiang, so Ouyang Junwei did not pay attention. This time, the plane took off from Donghai. Ouyang Junwei paid attention and carefully checked the registered ID number. He calculated the age of this Yang Ming. It was basically consistent with the age of the Yang Ming who hurt his brother. Ouyang Junwei knew that the opportunity had come. He quickly contacted his father, Ouyang Kanki. When Ouyang Kanki heard that the murderer who hurt his younger son went to Macau, he didn't say anything. He brought the most powerful assassin in his Hawkeye group, nicknamed Delay Man 001, to Macau. The reason why this guy was called Delay Man 001 was that when he killed someone, there would be a 1-second delay. No matter what kind of weapon he used, he would pause for a second before it fell on the victim, so that the victim would have a second to show panic, fear, and despair. Then, he would kill the victim in one move. He liked to see this kind of panic, fear, and despair, which gave him an indescribable feeling of happiness. This was a psychological desire that was close to perverted, but Delay Man 001 was happy in it. Of course, because they were in Russia, they wouldn't come as fast as Ouyang Junwei, so Ouyang Junwei arrived in Macau first. He just wanted to explore the situation and find out where Yang Ming was. It didn't take long for Ouyang Junwei to receive a call from Lu Jihao, telling him that he had arrived downstairs at the hotel. Ouyang Junwei put on his coat and went downstairs. He saw Lu Jihao waiting for him in the hall at a glance. Although Lu Jihao was a business partner of the Ouyang family, he was a very small business partner. He didn't account for any proportion of the Ouyang family's business. Normally, although it couldn't be said that Ouyang Junwei despised him, Ouyang Junwei wouldn't lower himself to call him a brother. However, this time, he had to ask Lu Jihao for help, so Ouyang Junwei couldn't care so much. He had power in Province P, but when he came to Macau, he didn't know anything. If he wanted to do things here, he couldn't do it without knowing one or two local tyrants. What's more, if he wanted to find Yang Ming's residence, he had to rely on the local tyrants here, so Ouyang Junwei thought of Lu Jihao. Lu Jihao had once mentioned to him that there was a small underground money house here. Although it wasn't a big deal, this was enough. The people who were in contact with the underground money house were people from all walks of life. It shouldn't be difficult to find out Yang Ming's residence through them. The next thing would depend on his father, and Lu Jihao didn't need to do anything. Big brother Ouyang. Lu Jihao saw Ouyang Junwei and greeted him enthusiastically. Younger brother Lu, how have you been? Ouyang Junwei also enthusiastically reached out and shook hands with Lu Jihao. Hee, I'm just a so-so. I'm not as good as you, big brother. Lu Jihao smiled. Since we are in Macau, let the younger brother be the host. Let's find a place to have a good drink. Ouyang Junwei also had this intention. Some words were more convenient to say at the wine table. This was also the habit of the Chinese people to talk about things. The two people occupied a private room, but the hotel waiter didn't have any displeasure because the dishes ordered by these two people were enough for 5 people. Lu Jihao naturally wouldn't save money on these occasions. How much was a meal? How much money could a business bring back? Lu Jihao lost the check. Although he didn't show it on the surface, he was still very uncomfortable in his heart. He unconsciously began to drink to drown his sorrows. Ouyang Junwei was also looking for the right opportunity to speak, so he naturally accompanied Lu Jihao to drink. After 30 minutes of drinking, Ouyang Junwei began to talk about business. Younger brother Lu, in fact, I came to Macau this time to find someone. Who? Let's talk. How can I help? Lu Jihao raised his head with a big tongue. Of course, it is brother's enemy. Ouyang Junwei didn't need to hide it from Lu Jihao. In his opinion, Yang Ming and Lu Jihao couldn't have any intersection. Oh. Tell me about it. I will do my best. Lu Jihao promised immediately. Chapter 832. This is the case. This person broke a finger of my brother, Ouyang Junyuan. Ouyang Junwei said with hatred. Damn, who is so bold? Who dares to hurt big brother Ouyang's brother? Lu Jihao was shocked. He still knew the power of the Ouyang family. Daring to provoke the Ouyang family was simply courting death. Yeah, I came here this time to make him unable to return. Ouyang Junwei sneered confidently. Lu Jihao couldn't help but shudder. Although the Ouyang family didn't have any local power, it wasn't difficult to retaliate against an individual. Who is it? Lu Jihao was a little curious. It's a person named Yang Ming. You won't know him even if I tell you, said Ouyang Junwei. Yang Ming. Yang Ming. Lu Jihao was stunned. Why is this name so familiar? I seem to have heard it somewhere before. Why? Do you know him? Ouyang Junwei's heart tightened and asked vigilantly. I don't know. I just feel that this name is a bit familiar. Lu Jihao shook his head. He only remembered the name of Zhang Bin. The name of Yang Ming was only mentioned occasionally. How could Lu Jihao remember? What's more, he was already drunk at the moment. He didn't think about that place at all. When Ouyang Junwei heard Lu Jihao say this, he was relieved. He took out an envelope from his pocket and handed it to Lu Jihao. There is a photo of this person here. He is now in Macau. I will rely on you to find him. Oh. There is a photo. That's easy. I will find some henchmen. Lu Jihao took the envelope. I have 4 henchmen under me. If you are in a hurry, I can mobilize more. I understand this. If you want the brothers to work for you, naturally there must be benefits. Ouyang Junwei smiled and took out a box that had been prepared long ago. He pushed it in front of Lu Jihao. This is 1 million. Let the brothers rest assured. If you find the person, there will be a big reward. When Lu Jihao heard that there was 1 million in his account, he immediately smiled. He pretended to decline and said, logically, I shouldn't accept money for your matter, brother, but those henchmen aren't my people. If you don't give them benefits, they really won't work for you. Brother, you don't have to say it. I understand it. If it's not enough, just tell me. I just want to find the person as soon as possible. Okay, don't worry. Just leave it to me. Lu Jihao opened the envelope and took out the photo. He wanted to see who was so awesome that they dared to provoke the Ouyang family. Seeing the photo, Lu Jihao was obviously stunned. The person in this photo was not someone else. It was the person he had just met this afternoon, the friend of Wang Meifeng. Yes, otherwise, why did the name Yang Ming sound so familiar? It turned out to be him. What's wrong? What's wrong? Ouyang Junwei looked at Lu Jihao's expression and asked, baffled. I know this person. Lu Jihao exclaimed. What? You know him? Ouyang Junwei frowned imperceptibly. He didn't expect that Lu Jihao would actually know Yang Ming. What is the relationship between the two of them? I have revealed that I want to kill Yang Ming. Will he immediately inform me? Thinking of this, Ouyang Junwei's heart suddenly had a murderous intention. I was a little careless. I can only kill Lu Jihao together. Lu Jihao also suddenly felt this murderous aura, and couldn't help but tremble. He suddenly understood what was going on, and hurriedly explained, Big brother Ouyang, don't misunderstand, I just know this kid, but there is no friendship at all. Whether he dies or not has nothing to do with me. How do you say that? Ouyang Junwei smiled, but he still didn't feel alert in his heart. It's like this. Lu Jihao told Ouyang Junwei about what happened today. He also told Ouyang Junwei about the company's loss and how they wanted to use the 10 million that they cheated to offset the debt. Later, the check was lost and so on. He also told Ouyang Junwei the whole story. There was no concealment. It turned out to be like this. Ouyang Junwei nodded after listening. He said with some regret, if I came a day earlier, it would be effortless. Now, it is not so easy to find him, because Ouyang Junwei also heard Lu Jihao say that the key figures were turned off and couldn't be contacted. It doesn't matter. I will try my best. For this 1 million, Lu Jihao had to work hard. Right, it seems a bit suspicious that you suddenly lost the check. Ouyang Junwei said, after you put the check in your pocket, did Yang Ming do anything strange to you again? No. Lu Jihao was stunned and suddenly said, "Ah. You don't mean that Yang Ming took my check back, right?" Exactly. Ouyang Junwei nodded and said that Yang Ming is not simple. His skills are very good. It is not difficult for him to steal a check from you without anyone noticing. I remember. Lu Jihao said suddenly, when they left, that Yang Ming suddenly came back and said that he wanted to take my 3-edged knife as a souvenir. At that time, he also patted me on the shoulder, that's right. Ouyang Junwei said affirmatively, he must have taken it back again. In fact, Ouyang Junwei wasn't sure whether the check was taken back by Yang Ming. This was originally a matter without evidence. But in order to make Lu Jihao hate Yang Ming, he could only do this. Because the more Lu Jihao hated Yang Ming, the more effort he could put in to find him. Fuck. Lu Jihao slammed the table. I was wondering why he took out the money so obediently. It turned out that there was still a trick behind it. But, isn't it just 10 million? Ouyang Junwei said in a timely manner, Brother Lu, rest assured. If this is done, I will give your company a big order. I guarantee that you will earn no less than 10 million. Ah. That's great. When Lu Jihao heard this, he was so excited that he almost danced. If I can earn 10 million for the company, then the position of the heir will be mine. I will find someone to search for him in a while. Damn, he dares to fool me. Then I will trouble Brother Lu. Ouyang Junwei saw that his purpose had been achieved, so he no longer talked nonsense. He had to rush back to the hotel to arrange some matters after his father and delay man 001 arrived in Macau. Big Brother Ouyang, you go ahead. I am here. Don't worry. Lu Jihao patted his chest and promised. After Ouyang Junwei left, Lu Jihao gritted his teeth and scolded angrily, Yang Ming, Sun Jia was a master's student at Songjiang Industry University. There was a computerized accounting in the elective course in the new semester. This was not unusual, but coincidentally, the teacher of the computerized accounting course was actually Xiao Qing. Looking at the newly announced class schedule on the campus website, Sun Jia was a little dumbfounded. I actually became Xiao Qing's student? This relationship was getting more and more chaotic. Since that night in the hotel, Sun Jia's thoughts had also undergone some subtle changes after Yang Ming caught the two of them fooling around. Although she had a very close relationship with Xiao Qing before, she always felt that there was some gap between the two. After experiencing the absurdity of that night, she really felt that the relationship between her and Xiao Qing had gone one step further. They had truly become a sister who could talk about anything. Because the two people were originally a couple, there was no hostility between them, and it was impossible to have any hostility. How to say it? In short, this wonderful triangle relationship made the two people more closely connected. After Valentine's Day, Sun Jia also spent the night at Xiao Qing's house, but the two did nothing. No one was interested in playing the two-person game that they used to enjoy. They just lay quietly in bed and talked about women's topics. Although the two did not mention Yang Ming again, they seemed to have some kind of tacit understanding. Well, it's fine to be a student. Isn't Yang Ming also a student? Sun Jia selected this elective course. After submitting it, she closed the class schedule. She pursed her lips and glanced at the windowsill. The flowers were sent by the express delivery company in the morning. She thought, this Yang Ming doesn't know how to change the pattern. He only knows how to send flowers every day. Similarly, there was another person who received flowers. That was the mysterious Wang Xiaoyan, student Little Wang. At this moment, student Little Wang was gritting her teeth and staring at a lot of love cards in front of her. This Yang Ming is not done yet, right? He still sends flowers every day. Wang Xiaoyan wanted to find him to clarify, but in the villa next door, she couldn't see him all day long. Yang Ming didn't seem to have come again at all. Therefore, although Wang Xiaoyan was angry, there was no place to vent. Fortunately, there were other things to do, so this flower-sending incident was temporarily put aside. She would talk about it again in the future. Sun Jia selected the elective course for the next semester online. Zhao Ying was also looking at the class schedule on the other side. For students who studied economics, computerized accounting was also a knowledge that should be understood. Therefore, Zhao Ying selected this elective course very quickly, submitted it, and succeeded. After carefully noting down the name of the teacher, Xiao Qing, Zhao Ying closed the website. Remembering the name and contact information of the lecturer was something that students who loved learning on university campuses would do. Because the university was not like junior high school, the lecturer would leave after the class. If there was a problem, they could only find the lecturer privately. Of course, Zhao Ying didn't know the relationship between Xiao Qing and Yang Ming. She didn't know that there was another lover of young Master Yang, Sun Jia, who would also appear in this class.